Howdy do everyone, my name is Angie, and thank you for showing up for part 22 of our life. I know I do this like every time now, but really, part 22? This series has been going on for a while, hasn't it? Hello, hi, like, bye. Welcome in and goodbye, have a nice night. Oh man, I was in such a rush to get ready today. I forgot I was streaming. I got home from work and was like, what else do I have to do today? Oh, right! I had to like run upstairs and get ready. It was so bad. Oh, anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I don't have any big announcements or anything today. For a second, I thought my other tablet glove was missing, but it's not. It's right beside me. I just forgot to put it on because I'm running behind today. All right, let's get started with siblings. We're gonna see if I can do both of these chapters today, but no promises. I can't promise that I can do that. My voice usually starts dying by the end of one of these chapters. Hello, how are you today? By the way, I'm here for the How to Train Your Dragon references. Of course. What, no big announcements? No big announcements. I don't have anything for you. I can't have big announcements every single time. Otherwise, they're not big announcements. I'm working on a couple things in the background, but like, yeah, I don't have anything ready. Don't expect anything. All right, let's get started. You stretched your arms high as you stepped into the spot on your wooden floor where the last rays of sunshine landed. The remaining warmth of the day was still enough to tickle your skin. You felt pleasantly full from dinner, and the only thing that was left on your plate was waiting for a knock. Derek closed your door as he came in behind you. You'd gotten to spend the afternoon together, and you knew his mom would arrive to pick him up any minute. Thanks for having me over, Rain. Of course. But I hope you're not bummed that my mom's made Elizabeth do the dishes after you offered to. Would you be bummed by that? That, like, you're not allowed to do the dishes when you're the guest? What is the big announcement? I don't have a big announcement! I can't have a big announcement every time. Kayseri and Angie collab win. It'll happen soon. That video has been a beast to edit. Oh my god. It's like, we're doing the first game we chose to do, and admittedly this was like my fault. But the first... Oh, you're right. Where's your boy? Hold on. Let me get those set up for you real fast. I'll just... There you go. There's our boys. There they are. But yeah, the first video that we plan to do together is a very dialogue-heavy video, and it's taking so long to edit that. Not to mention, I don't know if you've seen, like, some of my other edited videos, but, like, I put those sprites in manually and animate them manually, and it takes so long to do, and with Space's sprite there, it takes double the time to do. And my god, it's such a beast. But it's slowly getting done. Just put Kayseri as a moon. Your sprite doesn't matter now, Space. Space actually speaks. She does, surprisingly. You can't get her to stop talking. Oh, man. Ugh, I'm stretching out for a bit. As I said, got off of work recently, so, I'm tired. Alright. Derek pressed his palms together, flipping each hand over and under in a loop. It could almost be viewed as a mock washing gesture, but he was probably being awkward. Probably. Let's see. Space must have the voice of an angel. Which angel, you asked? Lucifer. Ooh. You heard it here, folks. Untrue, it's impossible to get me going. Space. Space. Let's be honest here. Jesus Christ. I just thought it'd be fair. I didn't help with the cooking. Yeah, you're a guest, so usually you don't do the cooking either. I could be your angle or your devil. Of course, Space, of course. Let's see. You're welcome to do my dishes, Derek. What kind of response is that? Let's see. You're so sweet, probably. You can be both knowing you? Yeah, knowing her. More on the devil side, I would say. Definitely more on the devil side. Aw, thanks. Oh, Derek, Mr. Manners. What, who, me? Yes, you. Always you. But before you could settle in enough to even take a seat, a pounding set of thuds cracked the laid-back mood. Derek scrunched his limbs totally inward from the shock. You'd been keeping an ear out for that exact sound, but it was completely unnecessary. Tourists halfway across town wouldn't miss that blare. The racket was followed by the door Derek had so carefully closed moments ago, roughly swinging open. Obviously, the person on the other side wasn't Mrs. Cerez. It was your older sister. With a huff and an eye roll, she delivered a brief message as fast as she could spit out. Derek's mom isn't here, and our mom made me come get you about it. Derek's mom is here. Whoops. Look at me changing the narrative again. This is an alternate universe. We are not actually cheating on Cove. That is correct. It is an alternate universe. Let's see. Okay, we're coming. No, that's too nice. We're a moody teenager. What a great messenger cow. I'm sure that'll get the eye roll. We got the message, go do the dishes, Elizabeth. Now we're the mom. Why did you knock if we weren't going to give a chance to answer? I like this one. That's funny. She gave you the stink eye, but didn't waste a single extra word on you. In one motion, she curled her fingers over the edge of the door, twisted around, and yanked the door shut. The books and boxes on your desk shelves shook. Derek's teeth clattered too. He whispered through the grimace. Oh, let's see. I wouldn't trade Elizabeth. Even though, like, I'm being the hard on her sister, I wouldn't trade Elizabeth. She's my sister. How could I even think of doing that? I mean, siblings have to stay together, right? Uh-oh. Hey, chat, real fast. Could you verify for me that you're still there? If you wouldn't mind. I, seem to be having, internet trouble, it appears. No? Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I ain't here, sorry. Aw, man. Looks like it's alright, stream over, guys. I'll see ya. I'm here, but Space is gone. Maybe it's just Space and Tarnish then. Sometimes I could still hear their voices. Alright, good to know. Apparently my internet has been just going in and out recently. They've been doing work, like, they've been doing construction for a while outside my house. And sometimes they hit lines they are not supposed to, so... Alright, let's see. So we can't trade her. It's our sister. We would never. Eardrums alright? Got it. He patted the side of his head to assess any potential damage. Yep, I think so. She gets extra grouchy sometimes. Right now, for example. Derek's shoulders slowly eased down into their resting position, but his expression was pinched. He began to whisper while glancing the way your sister went. His voice was hushed, secretive, almost afraid Elizabeth might slap the door open again and find out he was talking about her. Do you think it's about the dishes, or... I don't know. You could only give a half-hearted answer. You struggled to understand why Elizabeth acted out the way she did a lot of the time. But your mom is waiting. You've got to go so you can get home. Right, Rain? Derek's mouth opened and closed without saying anything else. He lifted a hand to try gesturing, but dropped that without it going anywhere. It made you raise your eyebrow. Yeah? His bright green eyes squinted hard into narrow slits, but you could still see the way they darted around. His gaze was trained on the ground, scanning across the floorboards, though everything that really mattered was probably inside his actual head. I was wondering. He paused again. Derek's hand balled into tight fists. He let out a breath, and finally asked a question. Are you busy tomorrow? You blinked. That was all? No. The simple answer still made Derek flinch. It might not be all. Really? Really? Then... He spread his fingers and arms out in not quite a shrug. Would you want to come over to my house for the day? The tone of voice and pose he took was casual in a scripted way. He definitely wanted you to feel it was totally optional and no problem if you turned him down. You couldn't tell if that was the end or just another point in a process, but you were going along for the ride. I can probably do that. I'd have to ask my mom's. Derek leaned in closer, slowly opening his eyes wider. Some kind of suspense was growing. All right. He dipped his head in tiny, repetitive nods. The look on his face went distant again, the way it did when he was thinking deeply. Then, finally, he flung his hands up to complete the shrug, and spoke the question he'd been stalling on. Would you want to come over tonight instead and sleep over? We could, camp out in my living room. It'd be fun. Our own little party. Oh, a sleepover. Interesting. We are just voices in your head. That you made to keep you company on the deep, dark, and cold bottom of the ocean, Angie. All of your life from the moment you made the contract with the witch. All fake. Don't do this to me. Don't do that. Don't make me think that's true. I'm a lonely person, man. Do you really want to make me go insane? I don't want to think about the consequences. What he's really saying is, I don't like your sister. Let's leave. That's it. That's what he's saying. Oh. So nervous about asking for a sleepover. We're in, middle school now, right? In middle school, yeah, I don't think my parents would let me sleep over at a boy's house. Even if that boy was, super trusted. You should live with that fact now. No, don't do that. Don't do that to me. That's just cruel. He's so much more polite than Cove. Cove would just come through the window and stay without an invitation. It's true. That is very true. So very true. All right. Let's see. Are we nervous about that? Or would... I'd say we want this, right? We've decided that we're more relaxed around him. Let's laugh. I know that's pretty out of nowhere. If you can't make it or don't wanna or anything, I'm totally cool with that. Let's see. I want to. Hopefully my mom's will let me. Yeah, that's about right. I got to sleep over at my guy friends' houses as a kid, but I was also mostly only friends with guys when I was younger. Yeah, I remember that. When we became friends, I remember you saying something similar to that. Yeah, most of my friends were girls, but I did have a lot of friends that were boys too. And yeah, I think when I was in middle school, my mom was officially like, nope, no sleeping over at boys' houses. I'm mostly friends with girls. That's cool. It's nice to have, a variety of friends, I think. Alright, let's see here. I want to. It would be fun. Hopefully my moms will let me. Come on, we'll ask right away. We'll ask right now. Yeah, definitely. My mom is waiting for us. The two of you left your bedroom and bounded down the stairs one after the other. Your warm greeting came as you hit the landing point on the first floor. Hello, Derek and Rain. Your two moms and Derek's one mom was gathered in the entryway of the living room. Derek reached a hand out towards her and waved it. Hey, Mom. Hi, it's nice to see you, Mrs. Suarez. After smiling at him and at you, Derek's mom turned her head over her shoulder to speak to your parents. Thank you again for taking care of him. Mom. Derek uncharacteristically broke polite decorum by interrupting his mom. It got her attention and she let him speak. I had something I wanted to ask you and Mrs. Sky. Oh? What is it, sweetie? He had the attention and encouragement of all three mothers. On this stage, Derek didn't beat around the bush the way he did before. I was wondering if Rain could come with us and spend the night at my house, please? He knew your moms well enough to foresee potential concerned reactions, and so Derek sped through his extra terms to make sure they heard this part before answering. We'd set up in the living room instead of my room, and my parents and brothers would still be around. People could keep an eye on us. You don't have to worry. Everyone can keep an eye on us. Okay, who's honking outside? That's so loud. Still hurts when they start to mess with my hair, though. I bet. As expected, Mom and Ma were instantly thrilled. They were shocked by the possibility. And while he was successful in avoiding the first obvious pitfall, your mom still had a completely different apprehension to fret about. That's pretty last minute. We're about to walk out the door. We couldn't have Rain impose. Derek's mom stayed strangely silent after he propped the question. She fixed a stare at her son, crossed her arms against her chest, and shook her head at him. But the shake didn't mean no. It had another meaning that maybe only a Suarez could get. Still, she smiled. Yes. We can find a place for Rain tonight, if there's no family conflict with that, and she would like to come over, of course. Both of your moms turned their faces right towards one another on instinct. They were astounded that Derek's mom didn't mind. Uh-huh. Mom scratched her head over it. Derek had made a huge request with no advance warning, and Mrs. Suarez had 3 children to care for already. It seemed unreasonable to her. For your ma, however, a light began to sparkle in her eyes, and when she noticed you're looking, she held your gaze. Rain, do you want to go? The same excuse my mom used. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. We wouldn't want to impose. Oh, you don't want to impose on them. My friends used it a lot on me, and I'd be like, no, impose on me. Stay over. Stay forever. Yeah, here is Mommy Capybara. Yeah, definitely. I do. Ma wrapped both her arms around one of her wife's. I see. I think that would be all right, just this time. Really? Your mom sputtered. She clearly hadn't gotten to that page of the script. Mom got an encouraging pat on the top of her head for her troubles. She remained absolutely perplexed, mouth open, eyes wide. Mom could only process enough to realize that she'd become the odd mom out. She probably didn't know exactly why she was doing it, but Mom turned to look at you. Back it up, Rain. You wouldn't want to keep them waiting. You snapped your gaze to Derek. He'd done the same. The two of you shared a matching look of astoundment. It was almost identical to the gesture your mom had made when Mrs. Suarez first accepted Derek's proposition. Thank you, Mrs. and Mrs. Sky. Yes! It's the all caps one. We gotta go for it. The deal was finalized with a crisp clap from Mrs. Suarez. Pamela's right. You should get what you'll need for the night. You're coming along for the ride. I'll help! Neither of you gave them time to change their minds. You ran back to your room and began to pack in a whirlwind. As you shoved clothes in your backpack, Derek hovered in the center of the room. He fidgeted with his energy that was going unused. Can you get me the spare toothbrush? There's an extra for traveling in the hall closet. Gotcha. He was gone in a flash. Let's see. Make sure to get the basics and something personal you couldn't go without. Good talking point for conversations. Ooh, I can choose. Ooh, what are we taking? What are we taking, chat? Let's see. Whenever I went to a sleepover, I did take portable gaming consoles a lot because Pokemon with friends. So I'm gonna take that. Oh, is it only one thing? I can't take everything. I can't. It's only one. Oh. Well, fine then. Derek returned in a sprint, a toothbrush held over his head in triumph. With a grin, you threw it into the overnight bag. That was enough to get you by for a short trip. You zipped it up, hooked it around your shoulder, and went out the door. You checked off the final requirements to leave. Pencils and paper, LMAO, that was always you. Every single time. My mom would not let me stay over at the boys' house in middle school. No, my mom would never. She'd be like, what about your other friends that are girls? Why don't you spend time with them? Hey Space, wanna sleep over? Yeah, let me pack the, 3 sketchbooks and a box of pencils. It was always the case. It was always the case. You always, brought an abundance of just sketchbooks and pencils with you every single time. You still do, to be honest. Every time you come over, you don't even have to sleep over. You'll just bring all of your art supplies. We made good use of them. We did. Oh my god, I still remember those late all-nighters where we do nothing but draw. It was fun. It's true, always gotta have a sketchbook on hand. Always. You're probably drawing right now, if I know you correctly. Either that or playing Baldur's Gate. One of the options. Alright. For the second time in a matter of minutes, you rushed down your stairs in a flurry of steps with Derek close enough that you almost stumbled into him. Listen. Do I know you or do I know you? At the bottom, you came to stand in front of the mom group. We're ready. Perfect. Good luck, kiddos. Have a great time. Gently, rhythmically, Mom ran a hand over your hair. All her previous hopes for your safety and happiness ebbed from her fingertips into you. Take care. Good night, Rain. Take care. I will, and thanks. Mrs. Suarez and Derek gave their own goodbyes, and afterwards they returned to the minivan that had brought them there. And then, almost unbelievably, you slid into the vehicle with them to go on the impromptu sleepover. The chill of the squeaky leather against your hands and the persistent smell of animal cracker crumbs kept you grounded in reality. Oh man, I kind of want animal cracker. I haven't had animal crackers in let's just say a long time. I thought about the year amount and then got depressed, so let's just say a long time. I haven't had them in so long, and for whatever reason, that one sentence made me instantly want animal crackers. What's up with that? Oh. Derek bounced against the seat, back like a kid on a roller coaster, and clicked his belt into place for the ride back to his condo. You strapped into. You never could have imagined the evening taking you down this literal and metaphorical road, but you were eager to find out what happened next. The sun continued to sink as Derek's mom drove down the highway. When you arrived at your destination, so had night. The condo complex was nicely lit and well maintained. The three of you easily made your way up to Derek's house and went right in. Slipping her set of jangling keys onto a nearby wall hook, Mrs. Suarez called out into the hall from the empty living room. We're home! You braced your ears for the second sibling-caused commotion of the evening that you knew would come. Always! Nicholas tore out of his bedroom and thundered across the floor until he had his arms gripped around his big brother's legs. Even with all the force 6-year-old Nicholas could muster, it was hardly a bump against Derek. He absorbed the impact calmly, giving his little sibling a pat on the head for his troubles. Yeah, we're back. The two remaining boys of the family came from the same room at a snail's pace in comparison to the first, but soon enough, Mrs. Suarez and George were with you too.
Welcome back.
Ah, my favorite of this DLC. George rubbed a growing sleepiness from one eye. He took in the scene with undisguised confusion. Why is Rain here? What do you mean? I live here. That feels like a me response. Oh, man. I used to love just surprise sleepovers when I was younger. Like, I loved just randomly asking my friends, like, hey, can I sleep over tonight? And just going to their houses. There was one friend I end up, like, almost every weekend I was at her house sleeping over. And eventually it just got to where her siblings were just like, yeah, she's here. She's just, like, Angie just lives here now. I also love those. My mom did not. Yeah, I wonder about the parents of that situation. I wonder sometimes if, like, those parents were just like, oh, look at that. Angie's here. Great. But they never turned me away. You know, they always smiled and welcomed me. I was the favorite, though. Let's be honest. Space. I was the favorite friend. If I'm gonna name whose house I was over at every single day. Well, every weekend. It was like every weekend. Alright. I'm gonna take some tea real fast. Gotta stay hydrated. Don't need to think about that. We all know I was the favorite. Alright. No, you don't. Mom. She answered matter-of-factly. Rain is staying over with us tonight. George clamped his mouth shut. He might have had something to say about the spur-of-the-moment plans, but was obedient enough not to argue with his mother. What, do you have a problem with me? George, I complimented your football skills. Mr. Suarez, however, had a childlike glee on his expression. I love this man. I mean, I know I was definitely your family's favorite, obviously. I mean, you were over, like, all the time. It might as well be. At some point, you're just part of the family, right? Oh, very good. Derek cut into his dad's excitement with a reply a little too soon. He had completely normal words to say, but it'd been put on fast forward. Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, we're gonna camp out in the living room. Can we borrow the tent? Derek's hands were balled into fists and held up near his collarbone, overzealously, kind of protectively. His father looked down at him with a familiar, serene expression. You knew exactly where you'd seen it before, when Mr. Suarez placed his hand on the top of Derek's head. He took care of Derek the same way Derek cared for Nicholas. Of course. And the gesture worked the exact same charm on Derek. His shoulders relaxed, his expression softened shyly, the pounding nerves that had been building faded. Camping? Nicholas shouted without warning. The entire exchange had held no interest for the youngest one until that moment. Oop, yes, camping in the living room, big win. Always gets everyone excited. That's right, Nico. Derek reached down and carefully placed his hands on Nicholas's shoulders to nudge him off. Nicholas went willingly, giddily repeating the same word, this time in amazed confirmation rather than as a question. Camping! With a thumbs up, Derek stood tall. The plan was in motion. Rain, you can put your bag down and sit if you want to. I'll go grab some other stuff. When moving past you, Derek stood a second to lean in and whisper a light-hearted reassurance. The little bros will go to bed before we do, and Mom is going to be watching them tomorrow. You're not here to babysit the whole time again. Thanks, because it might go horribly. Don't leave me in charge of children. Yellow! Hey, ya, Harley, welcome in. Okay, cool. The whole group broke off into 3 sets. Derek ran to his room with Nicholas right on his heels, while Mr. and Mrs. Suarez left the space to the kids, returning to their own bedroom. You and George stayed where you were. George shuffled over to the kitchen counter to sit on the bar stool. He wasn't helping, but he wasn't getting in the way. George was more sensitive than he let on, and you made sure to smile reassuringly over to him, so he knew he was wanted there. His lips quirked up just a little in response. Then you took your own seat on the couch and got to unpacking. The first thing you pulled out of your bag was your portable gaming console. You placed that on the coffee table for safekeeping. You kept busy sorting through it all until Derek returned with the goods. 2 pillows were under each of his arms. He had a few brightly patterned blankets draped over his shoulders, and the rope loop of a big nylon pack was hooked around one wrist. Nicholas supported the effort by carrying one long pillow. He clutched it tight to his chest, as best as he could, considering the pillow was about as long as his whole torso. Derek piled up the supplies on the opposite side of the couch. From where you were, Nicholas opened his arms wide to let his pillow drop to the floor in a soft puff. It made Derek chuckle proudly. I'm gonna put together the tent. Nicholas, George, do you want to help?
I'll help. I'm gonna put together the tent.
Nicholas bounced around Derek in absolute eagerness. In the distance, George pushed away from the counter. Yeah? His expression was flat and wide-eyed, but there was a hopeful rise in his voice as he got up from the bar stool. I'm helping too. Let's do that. The declaration made you, Derek, Nicholas, and George get to work making heads and tails of the tent. Derek yanked open the cinched-in top of the pack while he walked to the furthest spot in the living room. Everyone followed his lead. He pushed the semicircle basket chair up against the edge of the counter wall so the tent could go there instead. Derek dumped the contents of the bag onto the cream rug. He leaned over on one foot while kicking the other in the air to reach over and grab the instructions that fell out with the rest of the materials. He scanned over the steps briefly, but it was only a refresher. Derek was able to get right into the process. Nicholas was assigned pole control. He kept watch on the pile, not letting any roll away, and would pass the tent legs over when they were needed. Stretching the fabric out took the rest of you. You, George, and Derek each grabbed a side and tugged. Fun fact, Annabelle, Elmer, and Graysand, Derek, George, and Nicholas's Night Furies are not actually blood brothers. They are from different families, but they considered themselves brothers. That's cute. I'm gonna drink some tea real fast. 1 second. Alright, second over. Make sure to stay hydrated, everyone. This is your friendly reminder. Alright. While you're at it, if you're in chat right now, since we're talking about sleepovers, do you guys, what was your favorite memory of a sleepover? Have you ever done them before? And if so, what was your favorite memory doing one? If I get to answer the question, then I would say one of my favorite memories of a sleepover is one time, one of my friends had never really had a sleepover, I guess, or maybe she had, but this was one of her first big ones. And so I went over to her house and she had prepared all of these snacks. And one of them was this big giant bag of M&Ms. And I don't know what compelled us to do this. I don't remember. I remembered I started it. I will say that. I did start this. But I don't remember what compelled us to do this. And what started it. What started me doing this, I guess. But we sat there for the entire night just throwing M&Ms at each other. We didn't eat one of those M&Ms. We just threw them at each other the entire night. And for months, years afterwards, that same friend was still finding M&Ms in that chair. That one share that we shared. Still finding M&Ms in that thing. Yeah, Space revealed who it was pretty fast. It was such a fun memory. We just sat throwing... It was the first time we had ever slept over at each other's house, and we sat throwing M&Ms at each other, and then we watched anime. We found a random 12-episode anime, and we watched it, and that was our entire night. And we stayed up. The entire night just talking. It was a lot of fun, and one of the best sleepovers I've had, and very fond memories. Not just the chair, all over the room. Every time I moved my furniture around, there was just another one. How I never got it. I will never know. I didn't know that. I thought it was just the chair. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Space. But I'm not. That was fun. That was so much fun. It was good memories. What about camping? I did go camping a lot. You know, I went camping every single summer. I'm trying to remember, like, what a favorite memory of camping was, but for whatever reason, I keep remembering all the miserable times camping. All of the miserable stuff came first. Camping is fun. I love camping, but man, I remember a lot of unfortunate things happening when I was camping. My favorite sleepover memory was when my friend kneed me in the face because I compared her to the wrong anime character. It was an accident, okay? I didn't mean to knee you in the face. I didn't mean to, Space. But glad to know that was your favorite memory. Just saying, I'm glad to know that that memory was your favorite. So you heard it here, folks. Space loves being kneed in the face. All right, I'll try to think on the camping memory. But yeah, if you're up for it, share like your favorite sleepover memory. Don't worry, I need them. You saying that you're a violent sleeper, Harley? Because I seem to remember that. Alright, let's go on. Stretching the fabric out took the rest of you. You, George, and Derek each grabbed a side and tugged. Derek had to squeeze himself against the tall potted plant in the corner. He snickered at the way the leaves curled around his face. Despite that, you got the tent laid out across the ground. The first time Nicholas got to pass a pole, it slapped against the wall in the tiny space you were working in. George covered his ears and ducked. Derek snatched the end out of the air before it could do more damage. The little boy promised to be more careful. He got to keep his job and took it seriously. Yeah, setting up a tent is dangerous business, man. Yes, I am. A violent sleepwalker, too. Man, let me tell you, I've had a few friends that were sleepwalkers and slept over, and there is nothing more terrifying than waking up and seeing your friend sleepwalking, standing in the middle of the room and standing over you. It is horrifying! Also, you get, like, a little concerned for them, but man, it's a horrifying experience! Piece by piece, the project slowly took shape until it was finally complete. The small, light gray tent sat in its full form, nestled into the nook of the living room. All right, good job, everyone. As if he'd yelled into a cave, an echo of his words followed after. Good job! Nicholas threw his hands in the air with joy. George simply smiled, satisfied. Let's see. I'm impressed we didn't break it. Honestly, with me here, I'm impressed. Let's see, imagine if Annabelle, Elmer, and Gray Sand were on their human friends' sleepover. That would get crowded real fast, I imagine, with a bunch of dragons here. Let's see. Once I woke up to my friend looking at me with a ear-to-ear grin on her face. Now that I think about it, how did she get in my house? Well, that's the start of a story. I think, might be a horror story, but, you know? Who can say? Derek stuck his fists out, fist to his hips, and gave the team an encouraging grin. Now we can actually do an indoor camping part of the living room camp out. Oh man, indoor camping is so much fun. It always is like a win with all the kids. If you're ever babysitting or anything, pillow forts, indoor camping, always a huge win. Derek strolled up to the cabinet in the corner. He pulled open the translucent doors to fiddle around with something inside. A poppy tune blared out. He turned on a CD player. Nicholas leapt onto the couch and swung his arms into the air to dance. George swayed his shoulders to bubblegum notes. Their big brother wasn't done yet. He made a beeline for the kitchen cupboard next. This time, the mood setter Derek retrieved was a pillow-sized bag of puffy marshmallows. Perfect. Perfect. Catch! That was the only warning before he sent the marshmallows sailing across the room in a perfect arc. George managed to snatch it from the air without a problem. The top of the bag was twisted around and sealed with a blue clip. The opening side was stretched from the process of twisting and untwisting repeatedly. It had been well appreciated so far. George undid the clip and set it aside on the coffee table, his tongue pressed against the corner of his lips as he dug his hand deep into the bag and for just the right one. Nicholas tilted over from the cushion and into the bag to fill his tiny fist with 2 marshmallows. He crushed them between his fingers, the fluffy confection squeezing through the cracks. Perfect, meow. Speaking of meow, I wonder if Oliver is around here. I didn't close the door. He was meowing earlier. He's been like super affectionate lately. Lights just went out. I swear to God if my progress in Terraria went back. Good luck, man. I hope your power doesn't go out. Let's see. This brings the next question. What's the best sleepover snack? Usually whenever like I was having a sleepover, I always beelined for the store and grabbed like a big giant thing of potato chips. I'd always grab regular and then barbecue because if regular failed, usually barbecue would work, but funny enough, neither of those are my favorites when it comes to chip flavors. I'm one of the weirdos that likes sea salt and vinegar. Ever checked your cords? Some furry might be feasting on them. I'm looking under my table and around, but I don't see the cat feasting on my cord, so I'm gonna say no. Popped corn. I can't eat popped corn. I'm allergic! Oh, I used to love that though. That was my favorite. Extra butter popcorn. I used to have it all the time. But now I'm allergic to it, so I can't. Barbecue chips are my fave. Yeah, I always bought it because usually it was someone's favorite. Whenever I had a sleepover, without fail, if they didn't want regular chips, they'd want barbecue chips. Popcorn is so good. It is good. Man, just that extra buttered popcorn was my absolute favorite. And it's the worst thing ever that I can't have it anymore. Dip it in Coke. Guilty. What? Dip blood in Coke? Lights went out again. Oh, man. Sour Patch Kids also. Oh, yeah, those were a good hit as well. That's just a sleepover candy for me. Sour Patch Kids is a good one. Popcorn and Coke? Oh, yeah, popcorn with Coke was a pretty common thing for me. Now that I'm thinking about it. I don't have either one anymore. So, like, I haven't had Coke in a few years now. I dip chips in soda. Interesting. I love barbecue sauce. I'd eat any kind of meat with it. Barbecue sauce is good. What kind of barbecue sauce? There's a lot of different ones. Especially Doritos. Interesting. Spoken like a true gamer, I think. Though, of course, it's Mountain Dew is the gamer soda, isn't it? Now that I'm thinking about it. Hush your mouth, it's good. I'm not judging. Do you dip fries in ice cream? I used to dip fries in ice cream. That used to be something I did. That salty sweet combination was something I loved. Now I don't really eat ice cream anymore. I do occasionally, but like I don't really eat it that much anymore. Still love French fries. Still love French fries. Sausage, ribs, beef, any... Yeah, I agree with that. I love barbecue sausage. Barbecue sausage is so good. It's my favorite. I love ribs, but ribs are so messy and I hate getting my fingers dirty, so like I don't really eat them that much unless it's a special occasion. Are there more types of barbecue sauce? Yeah, man. There's a lot of types of barbecue sauce. Do you like spicy barbecue sauce or mild sweet? Barbecue sauce on a baked potato. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Oh my gosh. Baked potatoes with everything on it, and then you put sausage on top, or any kind of meat, honestly, and then barbecue sauce. So, so good. Oh man, I love that. Like, my eyes were open to that like a few years ago, and man, I can never look back. It is so good. I love spicy. I do too! Spicy is my favorite kind. I usually like the ones that says barbecue sauce at the market. I see, I see. I travel around a lot, and let me tell you, you find out real fast that barbecue sauce comes in a lot of different varieties. But yeah, there are some areas that like barbecue sauce is just barbecue sauce. Oh. But yeah, if you ever go to a barbecue restaurant, like one of those restaurants that like specialize in it, they usually have like 4 or 5 different types of barbecue sauces. Thank God your process on Terraria did not go back. Yeah, glad for you. It always sucks when like a power outage takes away your game progress. I love prawn mayo. I'm not big on mayonnaise. I don't like mayo. My family is pretty split on it. I have some family that like absolutely loves mayo and some family that like could not. Going to England ruined me to some food in America. I see, I see. That's interesting. Let's see. When I went to England like years and years ago. I don't want to think about how long ago that was now. It hurts a bit. But I did like the food when I was there, which is a stereotype that I guess like people won't like the food in England, but most of the places I went to were pretty good. Fish and chips were amazing. Though like let's see, when I was in Europe in general, like Germany had like I think the best food. I love the food in Germany. With the vinegar, absolutely. All right, I think I've talked everyone's ears off with like different things here. We were originally talking about sleepovers and somehow we ended up to barbecue sauce in England. Anyway, sleepover foods, that's what we're on. I'm gonna go back to reading. Keep discussing sleepover foods. Now I want chips with soda. You get your chips with soda. And you enjoy them. Alright. Yes, we read this. It really was a party. Okay, well, I guess I have to say, like, the best party food, which is, you know, I guess, like, an American custom when I think about it. But, like, s'mores. Man, I had s'mores on one, like, camping trip, and I could never go back. S'mores are so good. Just, like, chocolate, marshmallow, graham crackers. Whoever thought of it is genius. Alright, let's see here. Derek put his hand on the cupboard handle and shouted to you over the music. Do you like the marshmallows? Yes! You plucked it out of the bag and ate it as your answer. The cupboard doors swung closed and nothing was there to obstruct your view of the bright grin on his face anymore. He finally joined the rest at base camp, which was the couch at the moment. Say ew, I dare you. Ew to what? George got me one of those too. Without even one warning, George simply flicked a marshmallow at his brother, and same as before, Derek grabbed it in midair. He bit one piece out of the top edge, chewing thoughtfully. There's no TV while camping, so having a sleepover movie wouldn't make sense. Now, says who? You're camping inside, so of course you can use the TV. We used to do that all the time whenever we did, like, the camping inside things. We'd be, like, halfway in the tent and have the movie playing. Probably, like, Bambi or something. It was always some Disney movie. I'm trying to remember, like, what Disney movies I'd spam all the time. I know, like, it's an obscure Disney movie choice, but I used to spam, like, The Black Cauldron a lot when I was a kid. I used to watch that quite a bit. Little Mermaid was also one I spammed quite a bit. With the swallow of a marshmallow and a snap of his fingers, Derek empathetically declared a grand idea. We'll play an ablig game. I can't speak. Oh my god, I can't. Yes, you did. And I forgot about the Addams Family. I did do that. I watched that movie a lot. Oh. We'll play an ablib game. I'll make up a story and the three of you can fill in some blanks to make it complete. George rolled a shoulder passively. He had finished his first treat and was poking around for another perfect selection. That was more of always like a car ride game for me. Doing ablibs. No shit that the fish spammed the Little Mermaid. Absolutely. I had to get my influence somewhere, right? I never wanted to tell you as a kid that the Black Cauldron scared the hell out of me. I would just lay there on the floor suffering every single time. Yeah, you were a scaredy cat when you were a kid, now that I think about it. Horror movies were always like the worst for you. You really would just put up with me, like, spamming horror movies in your face. Now you love them, but as a kid you were always like, we could watch anything else, please. And I would just be like, why would you want to watch anything else? Oh man, I was horrible. Now I love horror movies, so it worked out. Horror games are still difficult though. I know you always make me play horror games. You're always curious enough to want to play the horror games, but always make me play them instead. I'ma drag you to a haunted house. She loves haunted houses. I'm the one scared of haunted houses. Because, like, you know, I love horror movies and horror games, but you can separate yourself, and they're just like, you know, something on your screen. I can always look away and be like, you know, it's fine, because it's not real. But haunted houses, like, that separation isn't there. I can't just walk myself out of it. It's always gonna be there, and I'm always gonna be scared. You know, there's a difference when a guy having a chainsaw is on your screen versus a guy having a chainsaw in your face. Bro, you always used to be scared of horror movies. I remember you hid behind the couch with me. Yes, I was scared of horror movies, but I always wanted to watch them, which was the difference. You were always like, we don't have to watch this, and I was always like, I'm horrified, but I'm gonna watch this. And then it just turned into me loving horror movies. Oh yeah, haunted houses own. I worked in one once. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I love the concept of haunted houses. In fact, I'm gonna be going to one fairly soon. My cousins are dragging me out to, like, a ton pretty soon. Which is gonna be fascinating for me because, as I said, haunted houses scare me. I'm actually very claustrophobic, and so I don't do well with haunted houses. But, I love the concept of them. I love the idea of setting them up and, like, the acting behind it and stuff. I think it's really fascinating. I've always wanted to work at one. But, they're kind of absolutely horrifying. They're kind of terrifying. It's a little hard to separate myself from, you know, what's happening there. I just end up getting, like, frozen up by fear. Oh yeah, you stayed in the car that one time? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my friends went to a haunted house one time, and I was too scared to get out of the car. That did unfortunately happen, and you know what, I'm not afraid to admit my faults. I'm not afraid to admit my faults. All right, let's go on. Okay. Nicholas smiled with a big white smile, but it wasn't just pearly teeth. His entire mouth was full of marshmallow mush. You took that reaction as a yes. The little ones were on board. I'm up for that. All right, let me think. We need a noun, a thing you can drive or ride on, a shape, a color, a food, and a drink. All right, guys, put something in. Chat, put something in. We're playing ad-libs. I'm gonna document it. We need a noun. So, a noun, a thing you can drive or a ride on, a shape, a color, a food, and a drink. So for noun, we have a dolphin. Got it. A Roomba. Got it. All right. So dolphin, a Roomba, a diamond. All right, we're doing good so far. We're following everything. Red. Okay, sounds good. And lastly, we have, or not lastly, a food and a drink is the last two. So we need one food and we need one drink. Taco. Okay, we have our food. And Dr. Pepper. You're a little late, Space. You're a little late. All of those answers can be answered by Fanfin Anglerfish. I suppose so. I suppose so. Nicholas gulped painfully, forcing down way too much marshmallow goop all at once, but he wouldn't let anyone beat him to the punch. A truck! A truck! Can you drink a fish? You can drink fish blood, I suppose. That's a very pleasant thought that I just thought. A blobfish, yes. Woof. Nicholas's eyes were wide. He was practically vibrating from the sugar high, mixed with the chance to add a truck to the story. Derek rubbed his back placatingly. That's the ride, George. The middle child plucked at his frayed plastic edge of the marshmallow bag. It might have taken him longer to come up with something than the youngest, but he did contribute an idea. I can and should drink a fish right now. What? What? Huh? What? What do you mean you're gonna drink a fish? Oh, hello, Oliver. You did come in. Everyone say hi to Oliver. My cat is here. He has joined us. Say hi to Oliver and say you love him. Hey, Oliver. You want to join me? Don't chew on the power cords and you can stay. All right. Blue. Cool, we've got the color. Rain? Run, Angie. He doesn't love me. He yells at me. But do you love him, Harley? Do you love my cat? Lever! I love you! See, Oliver, you're famous. Look at that, Oliver. Everyone loves you. He's just staring back. I think he's in a calming mood. All right, let's see. All right. The noun is... Okay, we can type a noun. Great. All right. We have dolphin for noun. So... dolphin. Gotcha. He shifted his focus back to the boys. Derek's expression and the entire way he carried himself was different when speaking to them. It reminded you of a teacher interacting with his students. Leave the stinky anglerfish and run away with me? What do you mean, stinky anglerfish? What does that mean? Stinky anglerfish? Do you want to reword that? I don't stink. I'll have you know my human body smells nice. I can't believe this. Oliver, you love me, right? Of course you do. I feed you. You have to love me. All right. George, Nicholas, give me some more words.
Orange!
Nicholas, I picked the color. His words were both a low mumble and a higher-pitched whine. That was paired with a crinkling noise coming from the marshmallow bag George had started twisting in his hands. Derek swooped in to defuse the situation. He put his arms between the two brothers, physically keeping things separated. Don't worry, that's not the color, it's the food. It smells like Dior. Oh yeah, sorry. Leave that foul-smelling anglerfish and run away with me, please. Foul-smelling anglerfish! That's what we're going with now. Foul-smelling anglerfish! Excuse you! Oh. George huffed. Nicholas grinned, smiling single-mindedly at his big brother, oblivious to the trouble he almost caused. That's another thing done. We need something else now. Hexagon. Oh, good one. That's a shape. Derek continued to warmly watch over his little siblings, but the words he spoke were for you. Rain, you're giving us the last one. A drink. Yeah, the drink should be... Type in a drink. All right, we have Dr. Pepper. So... There we go. His expression somehow softened even more. Awesome. Derek pulled his chest back and folded his arms. He smirked, brows angled and eyes squinted. I can now tell you the story of Baby Castle. Nicholas stamped his feet rapidly into the couch. He was absolutely squealing from the premise alone. Baby Castle? Angie, my dear, you smell like salty water and mercury. I'm sorry! You just decided that for yourself! You don't know what I smell like! Dr. Pepper, that's right. Mods, is that allowed? Hey, Space! Mod! Hey, you paying attention? Stop drawing or playing Baldur's Gate and pay attention to people insulting me! Yes, that's right. In a big open field, there was this stone fortress that was Baby Castle. Everyone who lived there was a little baby, but they didn't need any adults. Their greatest treasure was a giant golden dolphin at the center of the courtyard. They were always vigilant to protect it from the greedy hands of grown-ups. Sorry, can't read. Excuse you. What do you mean, can't read? It sounded like you said Father's Gate. I said Baldur's Gate. George snorted. His mouth and cheeks began to pull upwards. Then one day, someone came to the gates of the castle on their truck. It was a man, not a baby, or even a kid. He had a hexagon-shaped head and a fancy top hat. Hexagon-shaped head. Uh-huh. He was knocking on the door, demanding to be let in. They were just babies, and they needed supervision. It was a blue alert, and the guards were rushing to the station. The first line of defense was their orange catapult. It was loaded up and then fired. Bullseye! The orange knocked the top hat off his head, but the hexagon-faced man wasn't deterred. He used his giant grown-up legs to climb over the wall. There was panic in the castle. He had to be after their golden dolphin. Derek shifted the weight from foot to foot with precision. His hands had gone up in front of him with his palms facing forward. He looked like the goalie of a soccer game. But the babies weren't beaten yet. The squirt gun battalion lined up, and as soon as the adults stepped foot on the other side he was pelted with Dr. Pepper. Oh God, your eyes would burn from that. He stumbled back, and the gatekeepers opened up the door while he was blinded. He got pushed right out and back onto his truck. The guards gave one more shove, and the man with his truck and without his hat slid down the hill and far away. The castle was saved. The babies and their dolphin were still free. Hooray! The end. See, Angie, even Kayseri agrees. Do you agree with him? Do you agree with him, Space? Do I smell? You should take a nice bath with special soap for fish. I do take baths! I'm in water all the time! A matching pair of cheers filled the air. Nicholas and George were thrilled by the yarn Derek had spun for them. We applauded the grand conclusion of the tale of Baby Castle 2. Bravo! The living room campsite blowout kept rolling from there. Derek turned the music up louder, making sure to skip any track that didn't fit to the mood. George and Nicholas swung across the floor to dance. They threw marshmallows in the air and tried catching them with their mouths, and when they got old, they tried to see who could fit the most in their mouths at one time. Derek grooved to the beat and tapped his toes around as he collected the treats they missed, picked up from the pillows, and knocked to the floor, and patted backs when their stuffed faces made them cough. But he wasn't only Mr. Responsible. Derek took his own shot at the marshmallow mouthful competition and blew his little brothers out of the water. I remember playing that a couple of times. One with no oils, because oil is bad for the sea. I don't bathe with oils, okay? It's okay, Angie, this is just the life of a sea creature. Are you saying we smell? That's very rude. That's very prejudiced. Let's see. Dance along with them, obviously. You shook it to the left and shimmered to the right. Nicholas took hold of your hand and wiggled your arms together. The chain was extended when Derek took George's hand and nudged him to take yours. You made a massive wave that ebbed through the whole group. As the night continued, Derek moved on from the party hotspot to chill out inside the tent. He was on his side, propped up by his elbow. It took a few minutes for Nicholas to notice his brother's disappearance from his line of sight. You knew the moment it happened. He'd been bouncing from cushion to cushion on the couch, but came to a firm stop, sticking his feet deep in place. A helpless pout flickered on Nicholas's face, because it almost instantly curved into a sly grin. Nicholas knew where he could find his favorite person. He leapt from the arm of the couch to land at the entrance of the tent. From there, he sprung forward like a shot straight into Derek, shoving him over onto his back with an oof. Derek didn't get up. He flopped his arms out and laid motionless. 3, 2, 1. Derek was down for the count. Nicholas was the winner. Claiming his victory, Nicholas curled up on Derek's flattened chest. He tuckered himself out. Let's see. Stretch out on a blanket inside the tent. George wandered over to sit down cross-legged. He had one shoulder in the tent and the rest of him was out. Derek's eyes drooped close, and he heaved a satisfied sigh. I'm too old to keep up with you bros. You can party way harder than me. He could still muster enough energy to move a hand over to his brother's fluffy, marshmallow-speckled hair. The little boy snuggled his cheek into Derek's jersey even more. Still cross-legged, George took hold of his ankles and rocked himself gently back and forward. The childlike position conflicted how contemplative his next words were.
I wonder what things will be like when we really are older.
Thank you for voicing that line. The brother with the most days behind him smiled softly while his eyes remained shut. That's easy. 10 years from now, I'm going to be a famous athlete. Nicholas will obviously be the cheer captain at all my games. Derek earned a squealing giggle from Nicholas. He even kicked a leg out like a puppy who got a tummy scratch. George, you'll be my career manager. George stopped his movement, sitting a little taller. A smile pulled at the edges of his mouth.
Obviously.
Rain will be there too. That perked your own interest. I'll be your trophy wife. Yeah. Let's see. Those are some good answers here. I'll be on the same sports team. I doubt he'll get into beehive boxing. That's our thing. Trophy wife? Absolutely. Let's go for it. Derek coughed unintentionally as soon as you said your contribution to the master plan, but he rolled with it. Right. The best trophy I ever won. Best trophy wife I ever won. Who else are you seeing? Alright. It's the best trophy I ever won. Top of the shelf. Then his voice drifted off quietly. And the four of us would all be neighbors. We'll be his soccer trophy wife. He'll be our beehive boxing trophy husband. Perfect. If only Josh were here to read those words. You're gonna have to screenshot that and send it to him. Your heart skipped a beat. He wanted to live next to you. He wanted you to be a part of his future. Wait, we're going to be neighbors with him and be his trophy wife? Wait. I think he's seeing Joe. Hold on now. Who is he seeing? Derek, George, and Nicholas. You glanced at each of their faces and felt glad you got to be here. You went to different schools, lived in different towns, had different families, but sometimes you were able to share your worlds with each other. And maybe someday, Derek's story would come true, and you'd be even closer. But that time wasn't now, and all too soon, the Suarez parents reappeared to take the younger children off for bed in their own room. Despite nearly being asleep already, Nicholas grasped Derek's shirt when his dad reached in to pick him up. Derek kept his own hand on Nicholas's head and pressed the other against the floor, slowly shifting into a sitting position. Nicholas's vice-like grip made it easy to do without either of them falling over. When he was upright, Derek collected his little brother in his arms fully and shuffled out from the tent. This is pretty cool, huh, Nico? Usually I'm all the way back in my room, but tomorrow all you'll have to do is open the door, look down the hall, and I'll be right here. Derek whispered soothingly on the path to the back bedroom, putting to bed not just the delicate bundle he carried, but also the likely resistance the boy would have put up. George trailed behind his other brothers. He didn't need the extra help, but Derek stood in place. He didn't move until the middle one could come up by his side. Deeply inhales Joe. I walked straight into that, to be honest. To be honest, walked straight into it. You're 12. Neither of you have fully grasped the fact that you get to live together if you're married. I guess not. Aren't I 13, though? Altogether, the three Suarez sons went through the door. You waited in the living room quietly, maybe a minute or two passing before Derek switched off with his parents. He came out empty-handed, and they went in. He took wide, tiptoeing steps over to the campsite. His sleepiness from before was wiped away by a second wind of excitement. Derek made it back to the tent and put a hand to his mouth, watching the hall like a hawk for any sign of his family. We've got to change into our pajamas, but we don't have to go to sleep for real. You got to your feet, his eagerness rubbing off on you. The both of you quietly bustled between the bathroom and living room, finishing all last-minute prep. Derek's parents lingered at the edge of the hallway until both of you and Derek were completely set, PJs on, teeth brushed, the works. Good night, Derek and Rain.
Night.
Oh, wait, I switched that. Good night, Derek and Rain. Sleep well. Enjoy the great outdoors in the living room. Night, Mom. Night, Dad. Let's see. Good night. Mr. Suarez hit the light. The condo blinked into darkness. There were footsteps, silence, and the click of a door opening and shutting. His parents had returned to their own bedroom, this time to turn in for the rest of the night. With the opening and intermission over, part 2 of the Derek and Rain at-home adventure out could begin. Derek went from sitting up and perfectly straight, ready for some non-existent interview, to dropping forward onto his stomach. He squirmed around using his elbows. The effort fluttered the tent and blankets, making a soft crinkling sound. When he had positioned himself facing you, Derek rested his head against the top of his fist. He grinned keenly. The rest of his family might have been right across the condo, but this was still the first chance to talk just between yourselves since the sleepover started. He'd been waiting for it. Hey, Rain. His cheeks lifted high enough to push up the bottom of his eyes, and he whispered like a childlike sense of secret sharing. I was wondering if we were being completely serious, what would you want to be doing in the future? Do you, I don't know, have a goal? Or a dream? At this age, yes. Yes. My dream is exactly what we were saying before. I'm serious about that. Oh, do we go for it? Guys? Do we go for it? I mean, like, I don't think we have to be blunt. We can just have, like, the serious discussion. Go for it? Alright, I'm going for it. That made Derek's eyes go wider. He rose off his hand prop stand just a little, like he had been physically lifted up by growing hope. Really? Really? Imagining you and all the Suarez boys living in the same neighborhood and working together on shared goals was truly perfect. You both relaxed more deeply into the soft bedding around you, likely both picturing the same image in your heads. Wow, that's a really nice dream. Derek contemplatively rolled over on his back. The arm that held his chin up was now tucked under his head, for support, there instead. His eyes never broke away from yours, despite flipping upside down. He could move as freely as he wanted, and was taking full advantage of that. When his siblings were around, he had to work with 8 limbs and 2 heads thanks to Nicholas. Literal attachment to him. And that got your train of thought fully on the track of your siblings. You opened your mouth and said, let's see. Oh my gosh, I wonder what it'd be like to have my own, to be an only child. I wonder what that's like. Wow. I am an only child. Let's see. I wish I had a little sibling. That is something I did wish for when I was younger. Derek made a valiant attempt to nod along from his lopsided position. It is pretty fun some of the time. Let's see. Do you ever wish you had a big sibling? His gaze trailed away from yours for the first time, so he could stare at the tent ceiling. I don't think so. Maybe I've never needed a big sibling to look up to, because I already had someone for that. My dad. Oh, that's sweet. Oh, that makes sense. The air in the near-complete darkness had felt warm and comfortable, but the atmosphere began to change. It was too subtle to say exactly why, but enough for you to notice. Rain. Derek reserved his position again, getting on his stomach. His arms were crossed over the floor in front of him, and he rested his cheek down against them. Derek's eyes were on the ground too. Would it be weird to ask if you're having fun? Nah, that's a pretty common question at a sleepover, honestly. At almost every sleepover I've asked, there's always someone that's just like, guys, do you really like me? Are you guys actually having fun? That person was me. I did that quite a bit. But like, it always happened inevitably at some sleepover that like the serious discussion would come in and inevitably someone would be like, are we actually having fun? Do you guys really like hanging out with me? Be honest. It happened a lot. Let's see. Are you having fun? Yeah, definitely. He clicked his heels together in a rhythm, soft taps and rustling of the blanket, 1, then 2, and 3, 4, in quick succession, and it repeated again. Derek mumbled into his forearm. I was just really hoping this would be a nice time. The pensive look on his face, the tension in his tone, and your heart pounding harder, everything felt very serious. It's nothing. The squeezing pain in your chest eased, though somehow it was more of a disappointment than a relief. But Derek sprung up his palms, bringing his head up to your level and beaming directly at you. Have you noticed anything cool recently? George and I have been showing Nicholas a lot of great stuff he couldn't see before because he was too little when they came out. He'd kicked the ball in a new direction and had too high of a defense for you to maneuver it back, but that was all right. You could talk to Derek about anything. You and Derek continued to bounce from topic to topic. You quickly spoke your thoughts out into the air while hidden away from the rest of the world in your camp. It went on through the night until, before you realized it, your eyes were opening to the morning sunlight. But there was no peace in Derek's household. It's morning! After giving his war cry, Nicholas barreled from the room and catapulted himself into the tent. Derek wrestled with Nicholas on the blankets in a tickle fight. It was a memorable way to begin the day. For breakfast, there was a cupboard full of different cereals and instant oatmeal packets to choose from, plus fruits, berries, and nuts to top it with if you wanted. Each bowl was prepared to its owner's specifications, either by themselves or by Mrs. Suarez, for those too little to reach everything. You got, I'm anti-milk, so no cereal. Oatmeal. Cinnamon oatmeal. Cinnamon oatmeal is great. I do that all the time. I make oatmeal in the morning, put a little bit of cinnamon in it, and usually I'll also put in a little Greek yogurt in it too, and some nuts. It's really good, and sometimes I'll put in some dried fruit too. That's not my favorite breakfast, but it's like a good way to start the day. And... ooh, I can add stuff. Okay, can I add more than one thing is the question? Walnut is usually what I go with. I can strawberries. Raspberries too. Those are good. And I can put some coconut shreds in there. Yeah, some almond slices. All right, this is good. This is good. Silently, George pushed towards you a small glass jar of ground cinnamon, in case you wanted to top your oatmeal with some extra. That's what he'd done after adding plenty of bananas. Nicholas tried to grab the bags of walnuts and almonds away from you whenever you attempted to use them. He giggled the whole time. That's cute. He didn't even want to eat them. Derek didn't use them, so he had no intentions of adding any. It was a game. You ultimately won, snatching them off the counter when he stopped to take a bite of his meal. Nicholas was a good loser and only smiled with his mouth full at your victorious sprinkling of walnuts and almonds. You glanced down the hallway, expecting Derek's dad to come join the family soon, but Mrs. Suarez let you know how Mr. Suarez very sneakily went past you a couple hours ago when you were sleeping. Dads are always good at that. My dad would do the same thing, very sneakily just come in and leave. Go to work. Derek swallowed a spoonful of peach oatmeal with blueberries to note how his dad had to commute. Derek's mom nodded before moving the conversation forward. I'll take you home in the evening. The younger ones can stay with Mr. Suarez then. You'll have a peaceful ride. Your moms know it'll be a little late. We worked it out yesterday while you were packing. And I'll be out running errands until then. I will be bringing the kids. You two can enjoy your time however you choose. Is that fine? Derek stuck his spoon towards the ceiling and gave you a thumbs up from his bar stool. Yeah, that sounds good. Derek put his other fist on the counter, double thumbs up. Soon, you learned another new thing about Derek's family. His dad commuted very early, and all hands were tasked with cleaning up, whether they were guests or not. The five of you made quick work of breakfast. Then Mrs. Suarez, with some more assistance from Derek, corralled George and Nicholas into the minivan to act as helpers during her daily tasks. George could properly fulfill that role, while Nicholas was more of an honorary helper who still needed more support than he gave. The title was still exciting enough for him to release Derek for 1 minute so he could be strapped into the car seat for the drive. From one job to another, you and Derek were left alone to put the living room back into its proper order. First, your belongings were collected and put aside to make sure nothing got mixed in with the other supplies. The blankets were stuffed back into Derek's room, and the spare closet and any loose marshmallows that were discovered to have escaped being devoured and ended up on the floor were thrown into the trash. Your campsite became a hollow shell of what it was. It had ended so quickly, but a short adventure in the great outdoors of the Suarez living room was better than none. It was still a minor miracle that you got to come. You didn't forget that. Lastly, the two of you worked as a team to break down the tent itself. You slipped out each of the poles, retracted them to their smaller size, and began to get them packed away into the sturdy bag that they came from the night before. While folding up one of the legs, Derek lightheartedly chatted with you. I'm so excited. The whole day. We can do anything before you gotta go. Walk to the park, watch a movie, get food somewhere. If you were being entirely honest with yourself, the things he was suggesting and the way he said it almost made you think it was a date. But Derek certainly didn't claim it was. He hummed along with the bounce in his pose. He was having plenty of fun just doing regular chores with you. The good mood was infectious. It's great. I was just thinking about how I was surprised my mom's let me come today. Out of nowhere, Derek twitched like he was hit by a bolt. His hands flipped over protectively, and the pole fumbled out of his grasp. It clattered against the wooden floor, the sharp sound made Derek wince. He gave a meek apology while the leg rolled back against his sneaker, just as pitiful. Sorry. Damn, chat got silent all of a sudden. I was playing Terraria and Casery is probably drawing. What are y'all doing? Chat just sometimes gets silent on me, especially during, like, the book club streams. Like, we all know this is, like, a smaller stream. Not many people come to the visual novel streams because, like, honestly, it's not for everyone, and also, you know, romance visual novels may not be for everyone. There's a few I'm doing later that I think will have a lot more people at, but yeah, these visual novel ones are just vibin', you know? If you guys change the subjects, I'll, like, respond to you, I'll talk to you, you can completely derail me. I don't mind in these ones. This chat, just for vibing, just for talking, just for hanging out. So, you know, if no one chats, I'll just keep reading. If people chat, I'll stop and talk to you guys. That's how it always works. Alright, and on that note, we read. Derek bent his knees and gripped at his shirt's edge on the way down before he reached out to pick up what he dropped. What were you saying? That was pretty off. You didn't miss the blaring sign complete with warning sounds that something was up, but he obviously wasn't comfortable, so you tried to let it go. I was just talking about my moms. Usually they're really strict about sleepovers. I can't do it out of nowhere. It's a planned thing. Having it be a camp in the living room must have helped a lot. You gave a bit of a shrug and scanned around for another piece to put away. We got lucky. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. They are like that. Derek fiddled uselessly with the dark gray rubber foot at the end of the pole. He was pretending to keep busy. You wondered if he remembered what the two of you were supposed to be busy with. It wasn't going away, whether you ignored it or not. Did you think they didn't like you, or that I meant something else? No, forget it. It's dumb and doesn't matter. He threw the words at you. It was final and way harsher than you expected from Derek. The sharp edge of it wasn't for you. That part was directed towards himself. You'd never slept over at his house before. That'd been your guess for why wow. I can't speak all of a sudden. Alright, you know what that means. I'm gonna take another drink real fast. Maybe that will set me back straight. Alright, let's try that again, from the top. You'd never slept over at his house before. That'd been your guess for why it might have been a little awkward. There was clearly more to it. You frowned. It's not dumb, I'm sure of it. His brows angled at the same time. A tight bend formed in the tent leg. The way he twisted it between his hands was too much for the thin piece of pole. He didn't say a word. Let's see, you can always talk to me about things, you know, Derek, this isn't funny. Let's be supportive. He sealed his eyes tight and dropped the leg, on purpose this time. Despite all the effort it took him to ask you to come in the first place, that paled in comparison to this. Suddenly, it seemed like he wished you were anywhere but right there. Everything okay? I can't tell you. Derek's voice was an important whisper. You'll think I'm the most annoying guy in the world. I am the most annoying guy in the world. It was such a bad idea. I was sneaky and judgy. I shouldn't have bugged you, but I already did. It's too late. Derek's posture pulled closer and closer together as he spoke. His fist tapped against the front of his chest, and his knees bent inward. The pressure building inside was exerting a real force on him. What if you don't want to be friends anymore? Okay, bro, we need to talk. Really supportive? Why now? We're always supportive to Derek. What are you talking about? The last part almost disappeared before you had a chance to hear it. He looked small and lost. I'm always your friend, Derek. Derek, what's wrong? What brought all of this on? I just don't understand what's wrong. The tension kept compounding, causing cracks where more words could slip through. I had a reason why I invited you when I did. Why it needed to be now. Yes? Even though his eyes creaked open, Derek wasn't looking at you, but finally, he sucked in a breath and took the plunge. Rain, today is Father's Day. Your jaw dropped. Let's see, do we know it's Father's Day or not? Since I have chat's attention again. Do we know it's Father's Day or do we not know it's Father's Day? This one I think can be on you guys. I think it's so funny if we know. Alright. You could put it together immediately, and though you were still stunned, you could put it into words. You thought I was going to be sad because it's Father's Day, and I don't have a dad. Derek lowered his head and pressed his shoulders up to his ears, trying to hide from the sound of it. Well, I wasn't thinking for sure that you'd be sad. I didn't know how you were going to feel about any of it, and that's what was chewing at me. Derek poured out words, and one after another, trying to explain to himself and the conflicting feelings he had bottled up the entire time. The floodgates had been opened. Oh my god, he is pregnant with our baby. Yeah, that's it. It's not like I was around last year when this happened. I couldn't help wondering if it was a normal thing, or a good time, or a low point, or whatever. But I don't live in Sunset Bird. I can't walk over like it's nothing to check. I had to come up with some other dumb way to be around. He wanted to check if we were okay with Father's Day by inviting us to a sleepover. And seeing if we'd be okay with it there. That's kind of adorable, honestly. That's kind of super adorable. I think he should have proposed now, middle school, get over it. Propose in middle school? Too young, way too young. I'm sounding the alarms there. That's too young. Derek's speaking pace slowed, but his blinks picked up speed. His rapid flow of words went from explanation to admonishment. It was enough for him to choke on. But that's stupid because if you actually wanted to be anywhere near you today, you could have asked yourself. And your moms are great, better than most dads, and you've got Elizabeth too. He's so sweet. He really is. He's so sweet. My god. I shouldn't have made a whole big thing out of it because I made stuff up in my head. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And then it went bone dry into silence. Derek dropped his arms to his sides in defeat. He could only look at you out of the corner of his eyes. Poor kid. Let's see, what are our options? Probably just that he's a sweet guy. I think that's most of chat's consensus. I think I understand why Kesari likes him. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious why Kesari likes him. Hug him, hug him. Oh, we can friendly punch or pinch his cheeks. Okay, I'll let chat decide. What do you guys think? Do we hug him, which is like, you know, the sweet response, but we can also affectionately pinch his cheeks, and that's kind of been our thing for like a while in this game. What do you guys think? Pinch his cheeks? Got it. That is a good one. You couldn't help yourself. You squished his face between your fingers and gave them a pull. Derek's caution turned to confusion. Rain? It sounded silly with his lips stretched out. After an extra squeeze, you let him go. Hug, no wait, pinch. We got pinch! Oh, these are cute responses. These are really cute responses. Oh, I think I'll go with the first one. That's just really cute. Really? You're not gonna tell me to call your moms to come get you and walk out the door and never talk to me again? That's what you thought was gonna happen? Maybe? I figured you'd at least say I'm a pain. Well, I'm not going to do that. Derek crumbled over, gripping his hands against his legs and releasing a massive sigh like he'd finished a marathon. Wow, okay, I'm sorry still. I should have just asked you instead of creepily making you come to my house so I could watch and see if maybe I could figure out without having a normal conversation. Oh my god, this guy is adorable. He's so cute. He's overthinking this so much and it's so cute. Yep, that's also a good option. The emotional exhaustion from carrying that stress on his back really had taken its toll. Derek crouched completely and plopped onto the floor. You eased down to sit next to him. He tucked his legs up against his chest and tapped the top of his knees shyly. He was the last kid waiting to be picked for a team on the playground, and you were captain who could include him. Would you want to talk now? I think that'd be good. A ghost of a smile appeared on Derek's face. It didn't compare to the ear-to-ear grin you were used to, but it was enough to make everything feel a little more normal, a little more right. Let's see. Do we care about Father's Day? Do we care about Father's Day? That's like, I think that's a chat question. And to think you wanted to end up with Cove. Derek, this is so sweet, but I don't give a crap about Father's Day. It is pretty funny. I did not care. We don't celebrate Father's Day. It's never been a thing in my family. Derek nodded quietly in understanding. It's nice that you cared, though. I know I have someone who really worries about me. That's pretty special. Derek's face shifted to the side, but not enough for you to miss the redness tinting his cheeks. Thanks, Rain. Derek waited there on the floor silently, still curled up in a ball. If there was more you needed to tell him, he wasn't going to miss it. There are so many questions to ask. I wish I had a dad like yours. That way I can have 2 moms and 1 dad. We can't trade our moms. Let's see. What do you guys think? I will let chat handle this, actually. I'm gonna let chat take some of these answers. For, like, how we feel about Father's Day, what we wish or wish we could have had, stuff like that. You guys can take that. It gives me a chance to rest my voice anyways. I'm gonna drink some tea. Alright. No, if chat's gonna be slow about it. Well... There are a few options that I'm leaning towards. This is a harder question. So I think the way that we've been so far and the way we've played the game so far is to be like, I'm happy with my two moms. I'm letting Kayseri answer. Kayseri's probably drawing. Remember, this is always first come, first serve. Still playing Terraria, huh? Not paying enough attention to me. Shame, shame. Alright, let's see. I do like the answer, though, of, like, honestly, Mr. Holden felt like another dad to me. Because we are interested in Derek's life, so what's his dad like? Oh, she did answer. I thought she was drawing. Alright. What's it like having a dad? Like, your dad. His parents weren't here, but his gaze automatically went to the hall that led to Mr. and Mrs. Suarez's room. You had no idea what was on his mind, so you needed to wait for him to say it. Derek ultimately shrugged one shoulder and tilted his head back to you. It is kind of different. My mom is really a mom, and my dad's a dad. Shame on you for thinking you are better than sweet and marvelous game progression. Hey now! I see what you choose. I see what you choose. Game progression and masochism. Such clarity. Yeah, I know, that was such a clear answer. I just, like, caught on to what you were saying. Yeah. My mom's a mom, my dad's a dad. Like that. Does that answer? Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Could you elaborate on that? Sorry. He scratched at his ear. Derek heard the way his own words sounded just as well as you did. I think what I mean is, like, Mom is nice because she loves me and I love her and it's great. We can just be together and it's like I don't have to grow up so fast. It's okay the way it is. That's not exactly how it is with Dad because I want to be like my dad and I'm not. I want to get mature and responsible and do more. I don't feel like I'm good enough when I gotta compare myself to him. Derek blinked. He'd caught himself losing track of the topic. It was going where it wasn't supposed to be, and Derek put a stop to it. But it's not bad. It isn't like he's trying to make me feel that way. He pushed a couple inches off the ground using his heels and tipped backwards a bit, then fell into place again. Derek looked like a tiny rocking horse. A slight grin cracked between his lips as he swayed. And I bet a lot of kids don't have that kind of thing about their dad. They want to be like their mom, or both their moms. Let's see. I think you're already good. Thanks, Rain. Let's see. I want to be like both my moms. You can do it. You're already smart and nice and great like they are. Derek's words then slowed and stumbled. He squinted his eyes as if looking at you was blinding. It was the way he spoke when he forced himself to confess something he wasn't planning on admitting. Also, well, Rain, since we're talking about Mom and Dad, I want to tell you, they do kind of know why I wanted you to come over. I didn't tell them exactly, but yesterday they somehow figured out I was worrying, and before I could do something to stop it, they put it all together. I don't know how parents do that. Parents always know, man. They always know. I love Terraria because at the same time that you can easily tank a cosmic ray thrown at you by a literal eldritch god and take like 240 damage, you can still hit by a flying tortoise and take 460 damage. I've never played it before, but it's always been on my list to play. I've always been told, like, it's super worth it to play. Imagine Derek and his brothers sleeping with their 3 Night Furies. I'm sure that's a cute image. I can imagine, like, some art of that being drawn. And, like, they're all, like, sleeping against their dragons in this AU. That'd be really cute. They wanted to help you if you needed it, but they didn't have any idea that I was just being nosy and didn't give me any real reason to worry. I understand. It's hard to pretend something is nothing when it's not, and it was really important to you. It was, for sure. Thanks. Oh, we can ask all of it. Alright, I'll do this one next because, like, I honestly hope this didn't ruin your Father's Day celebration. No way! He slapped a palm against the hardwood floor that made the outburst even more startling. Derek stared at you with complete seriousness. All he'd want is getting a card sometime, and my bros might get him little kid kinds of gifts, a flower from the park, or a Lego guy or something. You being here too is for sure not going to ruin it. Don't worry about that. Dad only wants to party all day on his birthdays, but you could still come to those anyways. If you ever play Terraria Master Mode, you'll feel my pain. One day. Terraria's been on, like, my wish list on Steam for forever. Quite a few things have been on my wish list on Steam for forever. One day I'm not going to be broke and just going to be able to buy a lot of them. That's good. Nothing would have made you feel worse than having Derek throw away his and his family's celebration to try to give you one. But it was easy to believe what he said. He wasn't placating you. Derek wasn't a liar, even if sometimes he didn't tell you every thought and feeling in his head. Let's see. I'm glad I've got 2 moms. I love them. Definitely, I get that. They're really good. That was an underestimate. Your moms were some of the best people in the world. Mentioning them took you right back to the fun times you'd had with your family. My moms are happy sharing Mother's Day with each other for their parent-based holiday. The one time, Mom joked about how they could switch off. One could have the actual Mother's Day to herself, and the other could make Father's Day be the other Mother's Day. Despite Derek's lingering awkwardness, Mom's joke still pulled some snickers from him. She would have been thrilled to know that. That's compromise. I like that one, that's good. Rain can be the daughter that Mr. Suarez has never had. Exactly! I'm part of the family now. Mom is so funny. Totally. But that's why we've never done anything for today. Honestly, I feel a little bit like I do have a dad because of Mr. Holden. Cove's dad wasn't your family, but he was an important figure in your life. When it came to ranking adults in your life, Mr. Holden might be in the top 3 most impactful people. He'd spent 5 years trying to make you feel included. It was mostly for Cove's sake. You weren't oblivious to that, but a piece of your heart always hoped you mattered to him too. You were thrown from your quiet reminiscing by an entirely expected shout. It was almost half as startling as the signature Clifford surprise. Really? Cove's dad? Derek shook his head rapidly at himself. That was not a very polite reaction. Sorry, it's not bad at all. I don't know a lot about Mr. Holden, but obviously you'd be way closer to him than me. Yeah, he's always been there since I was 8. Even though he doesn't really set rules to try to parent me like my mom's, he doesn't really do a lot of that for his real kid either. He's still a dad anyway. That's cool. Does he know? Derek hugged his legs and pressed his chin against the top of his knees. He had a heart-melting, hopeful smile on his face. Oh hey, you could do something nice for him when you get back to the neighborhood. I think Mr. Holden would appreciate it. A lot. Maybe. I can't say the other thing of, like, I wish your dad was my dad. I was hoping to still say that. Knowing myself, even if I had two mothers, I'd probably forget about Mother's Day. That's relatable. I forget about dates all the time. I do forget about my own birthday. I was gonna say I'd forget about my own birthday, but I do forget about my own birthday all the time. I forgot about it this year too if I wasn't streaming it. Let's face it, someone pays you to be their kid's friend and you become your favorite. That's right, pay me to be your friend. Alright, we didn't say anything else. Your thoughts drifted away from Derek and even from you. They floated across the condo, out the window, and off to the vast summer sky. As a silence settled between you, Derek plucked out his shoelaces and chewed on the inside of his cheek uncomfortably. When you felt the need to fix everything or make it all better, it was a major hitch when it was not your problem to solve. The air conditioner whirled in the background. Through your fuzzy feeling mind's eye, you could picture your moms and your big sister. Then your brain and your body suddenly snapped together in full focus. Wait, what about Elizabeth? The mention of her name got the same instant reaction from Derek that you just experienced. His eyebrows lifted and his mouth opened soundlessly in a small O. She acts like she's over everything, but I think I remember, back when we were little kids, she would get mad on Father's Day. Maybe that's why she was so aggressive yesterday. She didn't have friends who were coming over or anything, and Mom's had work, and now I'm gone too. Derek looked hard at the front door. Was he expecting her to walk through it, or was he planning on running over to Sunset Bird to check? You had no idea. Oh, no, wait, I already read that. Sorry. Shoot. I thought there might have been a chance of that. You thought there might have been a chance of that? It was a horrible realization we abandoned our sister. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's panic. Let's panic over our sister. We're ride or die for our sister right now. She's annoying, she's a pain, our sister is annoying, but we're ride or die for her. We can call her. Or we can be more dramatic. Huh. Chat. What do you think about this? Because, like, that I want to go home, like, could be, you know, like, I'm worried about her, so I need to go home. Or it could be a little, call her? Okay. Can I call her? Definitely, that's a good idea. Derek unfurled himself, got off the floor, and trotted into the hallway with purpose. Mounted right where the living room narrowed into a hallway, set against the front wall, was an off-white telephone. The phone at your house was wireless. Derek's had an elastic looped line that kept the receiver from going more than a couple feet away from its base. Visions of Nicholas launching a cordless phone into the air purely for his own entertainment made their way across your mind. The option the Suarezes went with was one of the most practical for their family. Your siblings, however, would throw a fit if she couldn't chat with her gal pals in private. Gotta use the phone. Got it. Ain't it our siblings' job to be annoying? Because if not, I owe a few apologies to my brother. It is our siblings' job to be annoying. That's always the case. It's in the handbook. The one I didn't get because I'm an only child. Elizabeth, you wondered what she was thinking about right now. But you wouldn't have to imagine for long. Derek didn't waste any time taking the receiver off the hook and offering it to you. There had been many times in the past Derek used that very device to call your house, so the two of you could chat about your lives and make plans and whatever else. You'd literally ended up at the other side of things, poised to give the skyline a ring for the Suarez condo. Let's see. We remember the number. When you pressed the cool speaker against the side of your face, you heard the high-pitched dial tone playing on repeat. It rang and rang, waiting for one specific person miles away to answer its call. Finally, she did. Hello? Your sister's unmistakable voice filtered through the phone. The impatient note in her voice was just as recognizable. She didn't even know who it was and already sounded uninterested. Hey, Elizabeth, it's Rain. Apparently, her apathetic approach was being generous because once she did find out who it was, she cranked the attitude up to outright annoyance. Rain, what do you want? You were facing the wall, but in your peripheral view, you could make out Derek glancing with wide eyes. The conversation had actually started. That was all the insight he had in the situation. She's like, I don't need anything. How are you today, Elizabeth? I'm just great. What do you think? What on earth is wrong with you? Is it seriously that big of a problem for your own sister to call you? Yeah, that should be obvious. Listen, Rain, unless the police, firefighters, and ambulance, or our moms are involved in whatever it is you're doing, tell me when you get back. You sputtered to get something, anything, that might reach her, but it was in vain. The line clicked dead without a goodbye. You kept staring at the phone pointlessly. You couldn't move to look at Derek, but your hand holding the receiver lifelessly dropped to your side. Rain, what happened? She hung up. Despite the near single-digit amount of seconds your conversations lasted for, Elizabeth's frustrated tone had come through loud and clear. A pit began to form in the bottom of your stomach. Your sister wasn't happy, and you felt terrible. The wish to have never called her, and the wish to have never come to this place fought within you for supremacy. The hall felt cramped, and you were suddenly uncomfortable being surrounded by these walls. Derek watched you helplessly, his fingers tensed, clenching and splaying again. A moment passed, then he let out a heavy breath. He wasn't powerless anymore. I have a plan. You do? You raised your eyebrow. The promise of a possibility gave you enough of a push to move your hand as well and place the receiver back onto the base. Derek sprinted through the living area and into his bedroom. The clatter of drawers opened and papers flying came through his open door. You slowly stepped to the edge of the hall to try and glimpse what was happening on the other side of the condo. He soon came bounding out again, clearly successful at something. Derek tossed a stack of colorful folded pamphlets across the surface of the coffee table. You jogged over to meet him there. You couldn't tell what they were from a distance. Let's bring the party to Elizabeth. Are we gonna go there? Are we actually going to Elizabeth? Let's see. I wish I had a better relationship with my brother, but sadly, time was not on our favor since he was 12 years older than me. Yeah, it happens. Still not older than Angie, though. Hey, now! You had to throw the insult in there, huh? You had to take the sweet, heartfelt moment and turn it to an insult to me. I see how it is. She finally got a day alone and you're annoying her. Apparently I'm getting on her nerves. Excuse me. There are bus schedules and stuff. I've only got to look at what times are, and we can leave. What? You have the bus schedules out? How did you think of that so fast? He chuckled mischievously. You don't know what I say. It's good to be prepared. You know what I say. And I did wonder about this kind of thing before. I can't drive, but what if there was an accident or emergency or whatever, and I needed to be someplace right away? I already knew a lot of public transportation stuff because of that. Derek began to shuffle the papers around, and he flashed you a bright grin. But I didn't think I'd be pulling this out so that I could go to see Elizabeth of all people. Derek laughed lightheartedly over the joke. The words didn't feel very breezy to you. That was because it was honest. It wasn't about your sister. He'd spent time studying ways to get to Sunset Bird for his friends, for Cove, and for you. With you and him living away from each other and not going to the same school, sometimes it seemed like maybe you stopped being a piece of his life once he left your town. This proved you definitely didn't disappear for Derek. He cared about you, even when you weren't there, and you could count on him even more than you had known. While you were stuck inside your own head, Derek had his nose in the brochures. He pressed his palms onto the table, fervently scanning the timetables, and rambled more about his scheme. There isn't a direct line to Sunset Bird. It's kind of a small place. We can take a bus to a real station and get on a smaller shuttle for tourists. What? What? That's a lot of planning. Oh cool, a 20-ton floating eyeball. More Terraria. Alright, Derek's hands lifted from and then hit the smooth surface from under him, making a solid smack noise. He was done searching. I can't believe you've planned all of this, Derek. His gaze flickered up to your face. Is that okay? Are we seriously gonna do this? I'm as serious as you are. His absolute conviction was enough to convince you. You nodded. It's mission time, baby. Here we go. We can leave a note for Mom about what happened, or... Derek packed up the pamphlets, sticking them in the crook of his arm. He twisted his head behind him, but whispered to you covertly over his shoulder. If it makes you feel better, we might be able to get back before she even knows. We should tell her. I think we should tell your... I'm gonna read this real fast in case chat says something else, but I think we should tell your mom. Definitely, trying to influence you on the next stream. Next series you make. Maybe. I have quite a few series I have to get through. Like, we already have a voted game for After Hollow Knight. And to be fair, the Wednesday streams were never meant to be a series. I didn't know Lobotomy Corporation was going to be as long as it was. And I love it. I'm having fun with it. But yeah, it kind of took away, my slot for a random game. There's so many games that are coming out now that I'm like, I want to play this. I want to play this game, but I don't have another slot I can stream. So it kind of sucks in that aspect, but I do love every game I'm playing right now. We'll see. Terraria is definitely on the list. I'd love to play it. Alright. Let's see. Should we tell her or should we just run? What is funnier? Chad, I'm gonna tentatively leave this up to you. Hold on. Let me think about this actually. Because it might be funny to just go. It might be funny to just like leave and go for it. Of course we have to tell her. We need our future mother-in-law. Oh god, you're right. You're right. How could I forget? I was like going like, oh, we could go full chaos mode on this. We could go full chaos mode and just leave, and she'll just come home and be like, hey children, where the children? But you are right that like we do need her to like us. We could just go if you want. Just go. Right, it seems like there's a vote here on just go. You know what? Let's just go. Responsibility doesn't matter. Gotcha. One sec. Derek dashed to the back room with all the bus schedules in his arms. He shoved them into something, then ran out to rejoin you at the front of the condo with a bag swung over his shoulder.
Let's go.
Right. You scooped up your own backpack and the two of you locked the now empty apartment behind you. At a brisk pace, Derek led the way out of the condo complex and down the city sidewalks. You had to weave through the crowd of people making their way across town. Most of them were much older and taller than you were. I really like this background. We've seen it a couple of times, but I've just never gotten to say it. I really like this background. I think it's really good, cool, and I'm sad we don't see it more. Tell her, what if your mother thinks he's a bad influence and forbids you to see him? Joke's on her, there's one more chapter and an epilogue. Between the mass of strangers and the immense skyscrapers bearing down on you from all sides, you felt like a very small part of your far bigger world. We take his hand. We take his hand. He wrapped his own fingers around yours and held tight. That gave you the reassurance you hoped it would. You were in this together. You pushed forward until you reached the nearest bus stop. A group had already gathered in the same spot for the same purpose. Derek didn't fight to reach the front of the pack. He just kept to the fringes. You waited for anywhere from 5 minutes to 50 minutes. It was pretty impossible to track time accurately when you felt every single sluggish second hit you like a brick. No matter how long it actually was, it was enough time to think. A part of you had felt as though you couldn't possibly seriously get on a bus and go to Sunset Bird without any of your parents. That just wouldn't happen. That was probably why you went along with Derek's impulsive, as quickly as the idea had struck him, but reality hit you like a bus, when an actual bus turned a corner and came your way. You gave Derek's arm another squeeze. He responded by tugging you a little bit closer to him. The massive vehicle hit its brakes and slowed to a halt. The doors opened to let out those who'd arrived at the destination and accept new riders. The crowd jostled together and filtered through, and from the door, you and Derek went in at the tail end of the group. You had enough change in your pocket to pay for the fare. Derek flashed a bus pass for his entry. The city bus was as overflowing with people as the streets were. You had to shuffle while turned to your side to get through the aisle without knocking into the arms or legs of other passerbyers. There was barely enough space to breathe. Humid summer days had never been more miserable. You couldn't even find seats that were side by side. Instead, you had to settle for 2 aisle seats that were across the way and 1 row diagonal from each other. That meant you had to let go of Derek, which was the worst of it all. The automatic door creakily swung closed. You rocked as the wheels began to turn. We wanted it to move faster, obviously. You curled your hands through the edge of your seat like a death grip. It couldn't be over soon enough. But then you heard your name come over the din. Rain, we can do it. That soft look on his face and the encouragement in his voice were directed solely towards you. It was all he could offer, and it was enough. Thanks. Your lips perked up slightly at the edges of your mouth. Derek didn't attempt to carry on the conversation. Not that he really could in the hectic space with the distance between you. He'd become completely focused on watching you for your stop. He had a destination he needed to get you to, and he was going to do it no matter what. More stops passed by until eventually, Derek leaned his chest over the open space to send a quick message. His tone was breathy, like a whisper, but way too loud to really be whispering. This is it. He shifted upright immediately and tugged the bell, marking this as a stop for the driver. Soon the bus came to a cautious halt along the edges of the curb. Once at full stop, the doors popped open, and you repeated the awkward shimmy through the aisle so you could exit. When your feet landed on the cracked ground, you sighed in relief. It was over. You'd made it. This is really good. On Derek's first step into the station, he pulled one of the brochures out of his pocket and flipped it open. He must have kept that single pamphlet with the necessary details. When packing the rest of the collection away, Derek was prepared as always. He held it up to his face, mapping out the station, and using the guide like a treasure hunter. You wandered around the wide open floor plan, searching up and down for the section where shuttles would load passengers. You were the first to spot the one vehicle headed towards a tiny tourist town. It made you stop in place. Derek. Yeah? At the sound of his name, he lifted his face up above the station map and saw what you saw. Oh! The shuttle was barely 1/4 of the size of the bus. It was a glorified van. You only recognized it from what it was thanks to the unusual pale orange paint job and also the word shuttle painted in blue across the doors. He tucked the bus schedule pamphlet into his back pocket and gave you a thumbs up. Derek bought tickets at a nearby customer service counter. There was no humoring the possibility of you buying your own ticket or paying for both. That wasn't a hill to die on today. Then you were ready for another ride. You poked your head inside the cabin. Only a handful of other travelers were nestled between the 4 rows of seats. From the seat cushions to the smell, the shuttle was immensely more agreeable than the bus. You were even able to spot side by side this time. Derek, though, wasn't in any more of a mood to talk. The physical atmosphere might have improved, but the discomfort he felt on the inside was still eating at him. You could only sit in silence. For all the gnawing tension, you did make it. The shuttle inevitably came to a stop at the Sunset Bird parking lot. The car was switched off, and the driver gave permission for guests to leave. While the other riders leisurely shuffled around bags set by their feet and readjusted their hats, you and Derek hopped right off into freedom. Derek took a couple stumbling steps after his leap from the car, and then he stood in place. He watched for the next move, counting on your guidance to finish the journey. It was time to switch roles. Sunset Bird was your turf, not his. You spun in a single circle, scanning the area for clues as to which of the multiple big, flat, mostly empty parking lots you'd landed in. When you swung back around, you got a glimpse behind the shuttle and spotted the corner of the grocery store. You couldn't have been closer to home. My neighborhood isn't that far from here. This way! You stuck your arm out with a finger pointed directly towards the main street that you were positive was through the distant row of bushes. Awesome! Nice work, Rain! He made a break for it and launched across the blacktop. You ran with him. There was no time to lose. You had a ticking clock on your heels. If you weren't fast enough, Mrs. Suarez would beat you back to Derek's house. We're still planning on going back? Just a disclaimer for anyone that might watch this later. Don't get on a bus unauthorized by a parent responsible for you. Yes, I agree with that sentiment. Do not do what these children are doing. This is bad. And if you do even think about doing something like this, please tell said parent. You flew out of the parking lot and dashed down the sidewalk you'd seen a million times before. From there, it was a turn into the residential area. Before you knew it, you'd arrived at the top of the hill on your street. You were so close, the decline of the road propelled your steps even faster. Derek almost crashed into you when you both dove towards the entryway of your house. You caught yourself by bracing your hands against the front door. It took a second for you to separate your stinging palms from the wood so you could get your key out. But you got it into the lock, turned the key, and pulled. Finally, huffing and puffing, you stumbled inside. You were home. After everything, you almost didn't know what to expect when you laid your eyes on the scene. But it was your living room, exactly as it was every day of your life. Not a thing was out of place. The low hum of the fridge was the only sound. Elizabeth clearly hadn't torn the house apart in an emotional rampage, although you didn't know what her room looked like. Rain? You snapped your head to the sound, and there she was, standing on the first steps of the stairs, Elizabeth. Her mouth remained open despite not saying anything else. An eyebrow was arched high on her forehead. Hi. Hi? What? Wait, is that why you were calling? To tell me you were coming back way early? Well, we're just gonna awkwardly admit what's going on here. You swallowed thickly. Despite how quickly you'd put your plan into action, explaining those actions suddenly felt like a huge ordeal. This was likely the same discomfort Derek had felt when he had to take the plunge and bring up the topic with you. Slowly and stuttering, you tried to explain. It's Father's Day, and you were by yourself. We wanted to come be with you. She let out a single, derisive bark of laughter, and more was threatening to spill out. It wasn't the worst reaction you could have gotten, all things considered. How did that even come up? Oh, whoops. Hold on, didn't do that. You didn't see that. The tip of Derek's foot scuffed at the wooden floor. Mud kept sparkling clean. He meekly confessed his part of the debacle. I wanted Rain to spend the night at my place so I could make sure she wasn't sad or something. That's what I was hoping for anyway, but it wasn't a great plan. He couldn't help sneaking a shy glance at you. The mocking humor that colored her face was wiped away. In an absolute deadpan way, she said 2 words. That's adorable. That was enough to end the conversation. Derek had no comeback, and your sister simply stared blankly. Was this a mistake? Should we not have come? A serious, uncomfortable 3-way staring contest commenced. You kept your focus locked on your sisters. She did the same to you. Derek flip-flopped between Elizabeth and you. Then Elizabeth caved. She pinched the bridge of her nose and groaned dramatically. Fine. You kids win. Today was annoying. Not because I care that I only get to have 2 moms and I can't celebrate Daddy Day. Daddy Day? Really? That's what we're going with? It's because every year everybody is busy and I'm stuck doing nothing. And so no, I wasn't in sunshine and rainbows kind of mood. I didn't help that you ended up getting off the boat either. And then you called me. She wiped an accusatory finger right at your chest. Hey, chat, if you're still here, if anyone's still here, can you just verify that you're here? Because once again, my internet is, trying to claim that it's not working, and I just want to make sure that you guys can still hear me before I just read off a bunch of things. So if you guys can just verify with me real fast, I'm definitely not here. Got it. Thank you. Who's chat? Good point. I do have to make a name for you guys eventually. That was voted upon, but I think I'll wait for another milestone before we fully agree. Alright, thanks for verifying. I will move on. She wiped an accusatory finger right at your chest. You've gone off to have a party with your friends out of nowhere and decided while doing that to give me a ring while I was stuck in the house like a loser. Rude. Guppies. You want guppies? Living bait also? Interesting, interesting. There's a few things that we could go with. That's why I hung up. Her smirk returned, much more earnest than before. I didn't think you were gonna race across the city to come keep me company. That kind of affectionate teasing from your only older sister warmed your heart. It was special, and all the discomfort was worth it. You could already tell today would be something to laugh about for years to come. Derek remained serious. He blinked in rapid succession and mustered up the will to continue with his regretful appeal. Elizabeth, I'm really sorry for not thinking about this more. Elizabeth cut that right off. She swished her hand in front of her face, trying to physically bat away Derek's sentiments. Don't be, please. Save your energy. She settled the tips of fingers against the center of her forehead, her other hand resting on her hip that she jutted out to the side. It's not your job to babysit me. You're not my big brother, and I'm not one like you. I'm not one like you like. Elizabeth was as sassy as ever, and Derek's overly self-reflective maturity seemed childish when cast in the light. A dark red blush grew across Derek's cheek, but he smiled. It was a good reminder that he demanded a lot more from himself than others did. As for the first time your sister praised you and Derek, huddled together, sweaty and frumpy from the journey. Oh dear, where are my manners? I've got guests and I haven't even offered them a drink. She shrugged one arm while sashaying over to the kitchen and opening the fridge. Not very politely, Elizabeth shouted out while sticking her head into the chilled shelves. What do you want? Just water, please. Thanks. What do we want? What do we want, chat? Don't say milk. It's not milk. We don't want milk. What do we want? I can already see Space typing. Don't do it. We don't want milk, Space. What do we want, chat? We don't want milk! What did I say? What did I say, Space? We don't- Okay, I'll take soy milk. I'll take soy milk. We can do soy milk. Water and soy milk. She set a bottle of water and a container of soy milk promptly on the counter. When her hands were free, she reached back into the fridge to snag the carton of tropical juice as well as 2 glasses. Elizabeth poured a glass of juice for herself and filled a glass of soy milk for you too. One more time, Elizabeth, the demure hostess, she was, shouted at you from the kitchen. Come and get it. She punctuated the statement by bumping the fridge door shut with her hip. Then she walked back to the living room, taking a sip of her juice. Derek took it upon himself to pick up both of your drinks. He went straight to the kitchen, grabbed the drinks, and then returned to offer you yours. You accepted it from him. Thanks. It made your sister snicker over the rim of her glass. Her gaze stayed on you, while she lowered herself slowly down to sit on the floor. You shared a quick look with Derek, but ultimately joined your sister on the ground. The 3 of you arranged yourselves in a small circle shape, each with your little drinks in hand. It almost felt like being a kid in kindergarten again. Elizabeth lifted her cup over the counter of the group. To this auspicious occasion, cheers to us. As sarcastic as her tone was, the fun she was having was genuine. What are we cheering? Chat, what are we cheering? There's a few good options. Happy Other Mother's Day is good. I do like that. Bad Father's Day? Father's Day to us, cheers. I kind of am leaning towards Happy Other Mother's Day, honestly. Other Mother's Day? Yeah, definitely. Alright, we'll go with that one. Cheers! He thrusted his own drink out in celebration before bringing it back towards his chest. He twisted off the cap of the water bottle and gulped down about half of it in one go. Derek idly wiped at his mouth while Elizabeth asked a flat question. How did you guys actually get here? Is Mrs. Suarez idling in the minivan out there? Derek's reply was perfectly cheery. After the long way there, his sparkle was finally coming back. No, we took a bus. A bus. And a shuttle. None of the buses go right into Sunset Bird, but we made it. Well, obviously, you can see that. Okay, another question. Are you going to be completely grounded for this? Everybody else is out of the house. We're kind of hoping to get back before they even notice. Uh-huh. You're welcome. Elizabeth rested her eyes shut and took another long sip of juice. I won't tell our moms. Thanks. That's cool of you. Oh, are we making Father's Day cards? Actually, I was gonna just answer, do you want to hang out for a little while? But, like, there's a few options here. What do you guys think? Chat, you're gonna be involved whether you like it or not. Stop drawing. Stop playing Terraria. Pay attention to me. What are you thinking? Do we make Father's Day cards? Do we hang out or do we go back? Fine. Yeah, you gotta pay attention to me. It's... Don't know how to tell you this. I'm so sorry. You guys have to pay attention to me. You have to pay attention to the streamer you are watching. Alright. We're making Father's Day cards. You're too late, Momster. What? We can still celebrate the holiday. I want to make our moms and Mr. Holden cards because that's really sweet. That's honestly really sweet. That's a great idea, Rain. I'll do it. The three of you ran around the house, gathering supplies and dumping them on the living room floor. Stickers, markers, and stacks of construction paper were littered all around you. You added decorations and a message for your special Father's Day cards. Elizabeth wrote a note in cursive, and Derek added a smiley face. You really felt like a kid again. It was a nice time, and it resulted in 2 lovely homemade cards. The fine. Is that going to be a theme in this chat? Just, fine, I'll be here. When you were really finished, Elizabeth spoke up. All right, you've got to go. She stretched her legs and arms, spreading out wide. Being bored all day is going to be at least the least of all of our worries if moms come in and you've magically appeared in the living room. Yeah, it's time to leave. Thanks. She snatched up the card for your moms and waved it in her hand. I'll make sure they get this after you've come home for real. They'll never know you were here. And I'll leave delivering this card to you. She slid the card from Mr. Holden across the floor towards you. Her eyes narrowed, looking between you and Derek. Enjoy what's left of your little sleepover. Derek's mouth dropped open fruitlessly, then he closed it again. He didn't know what to say to that. Finally, he waved and chirped out a generic farewell. Bye, Elizabeth. See you around. Gave her a hug. Elizabeth rolled her eyes in staged annoyance. She couldn't take the smile off of her face, and she ultimately returned the gesture, wrapping her arms around your neck. Bye. With your mission accomplished, the 2 of you returned to the wide-open world. Hey, would you want to give the card? The one for Mr. Holden. Our ride back isn't going to be there right this second, so if you wanted to make sure he got it today, we could do it now. Oh. Your steps paused on the street as you thought over the suggestion. The 2 might have gone out somewhere to celebrate Father's Day, or maybe they didn't, or maybe they did but hadn't returned home. You had no idea one way or the other. I guess we could check. If he's not home, I'll try to give it tonight. Let's do it! The newly selected pit stop was conveniently staring you right in the face, and the other side of the street. Derek trotted forward, pressing a finger to the doorbell, and placed his hands on his hips while he waited politely for a response. You joined him there. Your luck hadn't run out because the door swung right open, and standing there was the man in question, your longtime neighbor, Mr. Holden. He lifted his sunglasses off of his face and greeted the both of you with a welcoming grin. Hey, Rain, Derek, how are you? We're good, Mr. Holden. Things are going well, I'd say, but there was something we wanted to talk about. Oh, I'm intrigued. Come on in. He beckoned you in with a hand and turned his beaming face over his shoulder to shout into the living room. Cove, you've got guests! Derek opened his mouth, lifted a pointed finger, and shuffled inside after Mr. Holden. Actually... You went through the threshold too, trying not to let the man or the situation get away from you. Oh, wait, Mr. Holden, you're the person I needed to see. The effort to explain was in vain. Mr. Holden's high spirits had taken his head right off into the clouds. Your words couldn't reach him. He idly dropped his glasses on the side table and made a pleasant conversation as he waited for his son. You've got good timing. We were out of the house until about an hour ago. I went fishing with my boy. Yeah, we were down at the pier. Cove casually joined in as he came through the hall. Hey, there he is! Hey, Rain. Hey, Derek. Sup, Cove. I'm visiting. Great. Oh, and Cove, how's your cut doing? The one he got on his finger? It's all healed up. The way Cove and his dad will know you're sleeping with someone else. We're indifferent about him this chapter, so honestly, doesn't matter. Cool. Yep, thanks, Derek. It wasn't only his tone of voice, or the expression on his face. Everything about Cove's demeanor was completely relaxed. Mr. Holden, meanwhile, was still radiating more warmth than the sun. You got the distinct impression that the two must have had a fun Father's Day adventure together. With all the blow-ups Cove had been through with his father, there was something extra special about that. Mr. Holden was able to take his focus off of Cove for long enough to catch you watching. For that second, he frowned. Cove, my love, I'm glad to see you again. That's right. Unfortunately, we're indifferent to him this time. But again, it's an alternate universe. So even though we're indifferent now, in the main universe, we're still in love with Cove and we're gonna get married. You know, Rain, if you ever wanted to come along for one of these kinds of things, I'd be happy to take you and... The slow, stumbling words betrayed Mr. Holden's awkwardness on the subject. You were having flashbacks to Derek's hours before when the entire event started. Not even adults were confident talking to you about the holiday, or at least this particular grown-up wasn't, but there was someone with more surety in the room. Dad, stop. You can't make other people's kids celebrate you for Father's Day. Rain already has a family, a really nice one. You're gonna make her uncomfortable. Yeah, that's it. Cove's arms were folded high against his chest. His reprimanding stare made him seem like the parent in the pair. You're right, sport. I don't want to put you on the spot, Rain. I'm sorry. Incredible. Somehow the topic had swung around to where you needed it to be, and you didn't have the chance to do anything. Oh my god. That's unfortunately happened before to me, so I get it. That was pretty classic for Mr. Holden, getting it right when he hadn't even realized it. Derek silently signaled you from the sidelines, a wave with one hand, a thumbs up with the other, and a nod too, everything he could do to say without words that things were a go. Carefully, you reached into your dress pocket. Thank you for being here for so long. These are really cute answers, like all together. These are really cute answers. I actually don't know which one to choose because it's so cute. Hold on, let me think about this. Okay. I'm stuck between thank you for being there for me for so long, Mr. Holden, or you don't have to apologize. I kind of hoped you'd felt this way. I think I'm gonna go with the you don't have to apologize one. I think that leads into being cuter. This is for you. You played your card, going all in and holding it up in front of Mr. Holden's face. Mr. Holden clutched the center of his shirt and fumbled into the side table. The bump made his sunglasses clink to the floor. That's an adorable reaction. The reveal literally knocked his glasses off. He exclaimed in amazement. Wow! Mr. Holden accepted your gift, using both hands to pick it up. He needed to actually grasp the card for it to sink in that it was really for him. Nice work. That's cool. Cove hummed playsatingly, still looking like the adult in the equation, though instead of a parent, he was taking the role of a teacher praising a student during a show and tell. Yeah, it is. Is that all right, Cove? You'd seen Mr. Holden's reaction, but his son's opinion on the gesture would hold just as much importance. He merely shrugged, and that followed into him stretching his arms over his head. I didn't think somebody else would want to congratulate my dad today. Cove's arms came down, so a hand could scratch behind his ear. I mean, you've seen what he's like. But if you want to do that, you should. It's nice of you. He could use more people who do things for him. In unison, you and Cove shifted your gazes away from each other and towards Mr. Holden. His head was bent over while he massaged the back of his neck. His long strands of muted gold hair fell over his face. That was Cove's dad, and, in a small way, your dad too. I imagine Suncloud Cove's Night Fury celebrating Father's Day with his father. I can imagine that. Better than what Cove gave. We didn't see what Cove gave him. They went out for Father's Day. That was Cove's dad, and in a small way, your dad too. Let's see. Thanks, Cove. It's okay. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught a glimpse of Derek throwing his hands up in a cheering gesture. His celebration of your success was as dramatic as it was silent. You'd done a good job. Thanks for letting us come over. We do have to go back, though. Of course, you're busy people. Take it easy. Bye. Yep, it was awesome. Bye. You were on the top of the world when you strolled back out onto the street. Even if it was only for a few minutes, you had to have a Father's Day with Mr. Holden and Cove. That was so good, Rain. Thank you. I think it was too. From a totally normal evening to a living room camp out, to a grand commute home, to being accepted that way by the Holden's family, and all without warning, it was enough to leave you breathless. That was followed immediately by an entirely different type of being out of breath. You and Derek made another mad dash to catch your ride home. You did not want to take that detour to make you miss a shuttle. The pale orange 12-seater came into sight. You parked at the far edge. They parked at the far edge of the lot. You and Derek got your tickets to ride and hopped on. A few scattered tourists in their sunshine and floral patterned shorts were seated throughout the cabin. The small number of people in the space still felt cramped because of limited room in the car. You could smell their sunscreen in the air, and a slow, curving motion the shuttle pulled out. Derek sat rigidly, silently tapping his pointer finger against the top of his knees for the entire trip. No words were exchanged by anyone, except a few rules and updates mumbled out by the driver. People were tired from their own long adventures out in the world. You could only imagine what the strangers sharing the shuttle had been through while barely audible acoustic guitar tracks played on the radio. Eventually the shuttle arrived. Each person went their separate ways, except for you and Derek, who stayed by one another's side as a pair. He navigated the station with the maps he had kept tucked in the back pocket as a guide. And finally you sat down on the deep blue, well-worn fabric of a city bus seat for the last ride. When the bus pulled out this time, Derek wiped his brow with his wristband. You'd made it back to Derek City. No mortifying calls would have been made to the overpriced bus stop payphone to beg one of your parents to come get you. Derek slipped lower in his seat and stretched his legs out in the aisle. I have to go to sleep. Have a good night. You have a good night too, Okabe. Thank you for showing up. And also, sleep well. Angie, do you perhaps have a chibi version of yourself on the same style of these chibis as Cove and Derek? Not in the same style. I do have chibis of myself. Like Space has drawn chibis for me, but I don't think any of them are in this style. I did forget one chibi though. There is one chibi that I haven't put in. I don't remember if I saved that one on my computer though, or if I just saved that on my phone. Hold on, I'll look for that real fast. Because I would say that it's an important chibi. I do have it on here. Okay. 1 second. I'll put that up. Just takes a few clicks. And all we have to do is get it. And look who it is. It's Oliver. He's here. He's here with us. He gets to be here with us. I'm just gonna kind of, 1 second. Just gotta, oh, come on. Why can't I ever do this fast? Lever! He's here with us! There we go. There he is. He's on top of me now. He's here with us. I hope you guys enjoy my cat being here with us because he gets to be here with us now. You better put that cat on top of your head. Yeah! Thank you, Space. Thank you, Space. We love the Oliver add-on. All right. Derek slipped lower in the seat and stretched his legs out in the aisle. The bus wasn't even half full, so making a little extra room for himself wasn't getting in anyone's way this time. On the outside, the sun was still dipping under the horizon, giving the air relief from its sweltering heat. He pointy. Yeah, he's pointy. My cat's beautiful pointy face. I love his nose. Isn't it great? My beautiful, beautiful pointy-faced cat. I'm the #1 Space Casery fan now. If I've ever wronged her, I was wrong. That's right. And to show your love for space and my cat, please leave a like. Anyways, like and comment this video. You know what to do. Had to get the YouTuber response in there somewhere, right? All right. It all came together to make the metal tube of a public transportation less suffocating, totally incomparable to the experience you had at the height of the afternoon. Now it was safe to relax. Good job, us. He chirped with a mixture of relief and fulfillment, like you just had an 8-hour shift at a serious adult company. It was an honest day's work. Thanks for helping me, Derek. Derek made a big show of swatting his hand nonchalantly, which pretty much completely precluded it from being a casual gesture. The grin on his face couldn't even pretend to be unaffected. He was thrilled. No worries, Rain. Siblings look out for their siblings. And he looked directly at you. Friends look out for other friends. I know that I can count on you to help me when the bros to help me out with the bros when I need it. Let's see. I can always rely on you. Yep, I'm your guy. Let's see what we can do. Lean against his shoulder. Oh, rest our head against his. Gently, you shifted over to let the side of your face nestle against your seat, neighbor. Derek's eyes fluttered closed with a sweet sigh. You were snuggled in for the final leg of the journey, and all you had to do was wait. There was a soft vibration in the back of the bus. It slowly went up your spine and all the way down to the tips of your toes. During the ride before, the sensation had frayed at your nerves. Now it was soothing. With every stop that passed, your eyelids grew heavier. If yours wasn't just the 4th one down the line, you might have fallen asleep. You and Derek were the only ones who got off at that point. The two of you hopped from the front door of the bus onto the sidewalk. Derek leisurely retraced the familiar path you had gone on with him, matching step by step. It was peaceful, and with how close you had been to dozing off, it almost felt like walking through a dream. Finally, you arrived at the Suarez condo after a long, eventful afternoon anyway. You may not have lived there, but seeing that door makes you feel welcome and safe. Derek clinked his key into the slot and pulled the handle forward. All traces of sleepiness that had lingered in your eyes were instantly wiped away. Derek unavoidably tripped the wire on a mini explosion. The condo wasn't nearly as empty as it was when you'd left it. The whole rest of the family had arrived before you. Oh, he's mega grounded. Oh, he's mega grounded. They were gathered together on the couch and bar stools, except for Nicholas, who had jumped up to his feet to launch himself at his brother. His short arms circled around Derek's legs. It was an interaction that had happened dozens, maybe even hundreds of times before, that was a hallmark of their own unique sibling relationship. Derek fulfilled the part of the tradition and stroked Nicholas's hair. At the same time, he offered the rest of his family a laid-back greeting. Hey! Good evening to you both. Hi. Welcome back. There was a curious lit to her tone and quirk to her lips. Did you have a good afternoon? Derek's eyes darted around. He didn't feel safe letting his gaze settle anywhere in particular. I'd say so. Right, Rain? We can just straight up be like, we did it! We took the bus! I'm so sorry. Please don't ground him. Oh my god. We went all the way there. We couldn't think of what else to do. We had to do it. I promise. Just go into the entire story. Oh man. Okay. I can't believe each chapter of this has successfully taken like 3 hours to do. I was actually thinking, maybe I can power through these today, but no, I think I'm gonna have to stop again once we're done with this chapter because, oh my god, it's so much reading. Took the bus. Well, the first answer came in, so actually the truth is, me and Derek went to my house. We took a bus and a shuttle and then came back the same way. You sucked in a breath as you braced yourself for impact. Your cheeks were puffed up with air like you were trying to win that fit as many marshmallows as possible in your mouth competition. But nothing happened. Not that you'd imagined anyway. You were expecting a Nicholas-level outburst of emotion. Instead, Mr. Suarez spoke in a tone that could most dramatically be described as mild. I see. What a day it has been. It's best you were able to spend time with your family. His parents were both perfectly contented. You had their full support for going on this adventure. You recalled what Derek said earlier. His parents knew about his stress over your potential hurt feelings of the holiday. It seemed Mr. and Mrs. Suarez had been ready to accept something going down. Because of that, you were off the hook for the secret trip back home. Oh, whoops. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Derek gratefully replied to his parents, all the while sneaking a warm gaze at you. I can't believe this kid just got off the bus like that. My parents would have killed me 3 times over. Oh, man. Thanks for not grounding Derek. We've never had to ground Derek. He punishes himself so much that we don't need to pile it on. Couldn't be me. Mom, please. Nicholas simply held tight to Derek's jeans the entire time. Happily, he was there and totally unaware of what the older people were talking about. George stood in between his parents with his arms pressed to his sides. He had been listening with bemusement, his thin eyebrows pinched and his lips pursed. Now what? Mr. Suarez snickered cheekily, resting her actual cheek against Mr. Suarez. Well, I'm sorry to say, you better turn right around and go back the way you came. It's time to bring Rain home. But don't worry, I'll drive. But yeah, let's see. The truth is, makes it seem like we were being truthful while talking. It could easily get him off the hook. But yeah, he also helps himself to that. Yep. Does in fact. Oh, yeah. With a wink and a grin, Derek scratched the back of his head. You chuckled right along with his mom. You had a great time staying with the Suarez family, but you were very much looking forward to seeing your moms and being reunited with your own sibling after a humorously short time apart. There would be plenty more moments of fun and laughter to come when you were. Thanks to Derek, it was truly an occasion worth commemorating. Okay, and that chapter is done. All right, my throat is burning, so yeah, I am gonna have to stop. I was gonna see if I could power it through. If I could, pull a late night and go ahead and do, Boardwalk because I think that's the one I'm most curious about. It's what the thumbnail shows too, I think. But yeah, I think my throat really needs the rest. So I wanted to kind of like speed through these a little more in risk of Our Life going on for 30 episodes. Not that I dislike Our Life. I love Our Life. I'm sad to see it eventually go. But we have 2 more DLCs to get through after this. Being, we have the rest of Derek's DLC, we have Baxter's DLC, and a wedding DLC. So, quite a bit. And so part of me wants to squeeze these in faster, but I do want to enjoy these too. So what I might end up doing, just as like an announcement for you guys, we have October coming up fairly soon. You know, we have another month, but we have October coming up fairly soon. We don't have to do Baxter's. No, we're doing Baxter's. You guys aren't getting out of this. But we have October coming up pretty soon. And I really like horror, and there are some horror games, horror book club stuff that I've really wanted to do. And I'm not going to be here for a little bit in October. I've mentioned it before, but I will be gone for a period in October, and it could be as far up to 3 weeks. I don't fully know. There's really no telling at this point, but I'll tell you guys when it gets closer. But that leaves a week in October that we get to, stream and kind of enjoy spooky season for book club. So instead of doing Our Life for that week in October, I think I am going to do a one-shot story on that one. So instead of doing like Our Life, we'll be doing like a one-shot Halloween special. So that's just like a heads up there. I can't tell you when in October. I can't tell you fully when it's going to be. But just so you guys know that like when October hits, we're not doing Our Life, and we'll hit up Our Life again once October is over. But I want to get my spooky season stuff in. So that's what I think we're going to do. Oh shoot, didn't know there was a stream going on. Josh, it's Monday. Monday's book club. You should know this. You're my mod. Do I have to start putting up a schedule for all of you guys? Do I have to start putting a schedule up just for my mods? Oh man. I can already see the vampire Angie thumbnail while the smiling showing her fangs. Hey now. I don't have a vampire design, but I do have a Halloween design, courtesy of Space. I do have one, so get ready for that costume change. Baxter, our soccer playing trophy husband. Yes, Baxter, the soccer playing trophy husband. You hear that, Space? Oh man, can't blame him. I also forgot. Yeah, apparently everyone forgets that I stream on Mondays. It's the book club. I've streamed every single Monday for a long time now. Oh man. Didn't know the stream was still going on. Clearly you've been reading too much. You're going cross-eyed. We're just now ending the stream. I'm doing my last minute announcements. But yep, we stream every Monday and these episodes are long. Leave a like the video for me, Josh. I have to get my YouTuber stuff in somehow. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Anyways. That's it. That's as much as the YouTuber I'm gonna be for now. But yeah, Our Life, I will not be doing Our Life in October. We're gonna do Halloween one-shots. Space, make Angie a corn No, don't make me a corn sprite! I'm allergic to that! Are you trying to kill me? Listen, I've been welding for 4 hours. I'm exhausted. That makes sense. That makes sense. I hope it went well for you, Josh. I knew you were streaming today. I just didn't know you. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, I was actually going to do an endurance one today. I was thinking like, oh yeah, no, I'll do an endurance and I'll try to get 2 chapters out. But man, my throat is burning. I don't think, with the possibility of this running another 3 hours, I don't think I can do it. So unfortunately, I am going to have to call it quits on this. I can't, man. Exactly, you're allergic. That's why it would be a nice sprite. No, it wouldn't be a nice sprite. I put it as my dislikes. Is Oliver on top of me not enough for you? She has no endurance. I don't. Not with reading. I have thought about doing longer, like, Lobotomy Corp ones, though. I have thought about doing that. Like, starting Lobotomy Corp earlier and then doing longer streams for that. Because, like, I was looking at I was not looking at other Lobotomy Corp streams, but I was looking at other people streaming Lobotomy Corp. I didn't click on them, but I saw, like, how long they were doing episodes. And there's some people that are doing, like, 10-hour episodes, and honestly, every time I play Lobotomy Corp, I want to play more Lobotomy Corp. And it's really hard to, you know, not. So I might start Lobotomy Corp earlier and just, like, keep going for a while with it. Not 10 hours. I don't think I could do 10 hours. I can't. Not yet, but that might be something I do. That I just start, like, maybe an hour earlier. Maybe 2 hours earlier. I don't know. I'd have to workshop that a bit. The main reason I haven't done that is because of my mods. I think that only conveniences one of my mods. If you're gonna do an endurance stream, I'd have to dip now anyways. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Space is on a tight schedule and Josh is on a tight schedule usually. And the only mod that is not on a tight schedule, I don't know if it would actually convenience him or not. You heard it here, folks. 10-hour Lobotomy Corp stream every Wednesday. Dear God. Alright, well. Tomorrow is kind of a special day for one of my friends. It's one of my best friends' birthdays. So I said I'd do this, so everyone say happy birthday to M. That's all you're getting. I can't, like, actually say her name. So say happy birthday. And I'm probably gonna be out with her for a while tomorrow, and we might get a little tipsy. So we'll see how the Wednesday stream goes. The hungover stream. Alright. So, with that being said, I think I will go ahead and end this here. Take the extra shot for me, remember me, and corporate Al. Yeah, I'll remember. Hungover Lobotomy Corp stream. It's kind of appropriate, isn't it? Happy B-Day, Andy's friend. I'll tell her. I'll show her what you guys said and everything. All right. So, with that being said, I will see you guys on Wednesday if you show up, or I will see you on Saturday for Hollow Knight, or I'll see you next week for book club. Either way, thank you for spending time with me. Thanks for hanging out, and love you lots. I'll see you in the next stream. Bye-bye, everyone!